Hello and welcome to round 14 here of the GPVWC Formula Challenge at Nurburgring in Germany. Currently in the dying moments of qualifying, currently being dominated once again by Emmanuel Gaxella. Joining me today is Lee Morris as per usual. I'm filling in for the ever loud and flamboyant Liam Jenkins. How are you doing today, Lee?
Very well, thank you. Oscar, yourself?
Yeah, pretty damn good.
Excellent.
So, qualifying so far, we were saying just a few moments ago, it's been quite a close affair, but then Gaxella's just gone about half a second quicker than everyone, out of absolutely nowhere.
Yeah, an absolute stonking lap. I mean, like you say, it was covered by about a tenth the top four or so, and then all of a sudden he just put out a 41.2 from nowhere and put half a second on the rest of the field. And more crucially, David Fidok, he's pulled another half second in front of him, so obviously the championship rival, that's key for the race.
It is indeed, and David, Fidok has been doing a good job recently as of Simmink as a collective, as a team, really been pushing on. You've got to give a shout out though, Adrian McNaughton, he's really pulled himself together today, currently up in 6th for Storm, so taking that fight to Simmink, because Simmink currently, they are 2nd and 11th, so if you had points for qualifying, it would be a game for Storm at the moment, and that's something that they've not had for a great number of races now. Yeah,
they're 60 points behind in the Constructors' Championship, behind Simmink, that is Storm. So obviously McNaughton needs to up his game. The last few races have been slightly off the pace compared to his ever-fast teammate Gaxella. So he's got to really up his game and try and get on top of... I mean, it's Ben Warren who's been doing a good job as well for Simmink, hasn't he? He's been getting a couple of podium finishes and he's really improved. So it's up to McNaughton now, and like you say, he's upped his game so far here.
Indeed he has, and I believe qualifying's ticked over. There's a few people still steading laps, and I'll allow for them to just get on their way. I think it's safe to say though, I mean, Fidok, is he on a lap? Fidok might be on a lap at the moment, so that'll be one worth watching, seeing if he can actually improve, although I honestly doubt that he's going to find 4/10. I've been watching the practice times and it's just not been near that.
Yeah, at the moment Simonchik's missing as well, the Adonis Engineering second driver with Cantone and his teammate up in 3rd. I think Simonchik was in 3rd or 4th. So I think he's just left the server, so he should be up there as well at the front. He was very close to the pole time as well, and Fidok, like you say, heading through the middle sector now. Can't currently see his lap time, but I think he's safe in 2nd anyway, and like you say, I don't think he's going to take the pole, but we never know.
No, you don't, and in all fairness, even if he was to move 1-2 tenths closer, that's a valuable 2 tenths. I mean, we've seen with the FC car this season, it's not very powerful, so if you can actually stick with that 2 to 3 tenth gap to the guy in front, you can utilise the draft on long straights and really keep yourself in the game despite having the slightly slower car. Qualifying, yeah, it's who's best over one lap, but you put them in a race situation and the whole dynamic changes.
Yeah, definitely it's about consistency rather than that one lap pace, obviously, like you say. I mean, to close it down by a few tenths as he comes across the start finish line. He does, look at that, less than 2 tenths behind Gaxella. So yeah, he did find a couple of tenths, as you say, exactly 2 tenths pretty much actually, with a Storm in final sector actually. Fidok, as I've got to try and remember to say, because he has pointed me on this to say his name properly, as have most of the field to be fair as well, so I do apologise to anyone else whose name I say wrong. But yeah, great lap from Fidok at the end.
Yeah, fantastic job, and like we were literally just saying, those extra couple of tenths were really going to help him, and we've seen that Fidok, however it is that you meant to go and say it, I'm sure that David knows himself, so we'll stick with Fidok if we can. That 2 tenths is massive. It really keeps you in the game. Not only that, but it pulls him further away from the potential threats behind, like Kantonen and Tapper, and even Florian Gaia, who's made a fantastic job of qualifying there, getting what I believe is a 6th for Multi-21 Racing, because as you said, Simonchik isn't actually around at the moment. Oh, and there's rain in warm-up.
Yes, that's pouring down, isn't it? That's really going to change the face of it. I mean, the quick guy is usually a quick in the wet as well, so I don't think it'll change the order too much, but it certainly throws up something else. Especially Gaxella, he doesn't want this. He's been quick in the wet. He doesn't really need, he's been quick in the dry. He doesn't need a wet race, whereas Fidok maybe sees this as an opportunity, and that is very wet actually.
Yeah. Like you said, Fidok sees this as an opportunity. Another thing worth pointing out is every time that we have seen rain or drizzle since his coming into Formula Challenge, that has been when Ben Warren has been shining, because he makes the most of the conditions. He really seems to be able to find the grip at the same time as everyone else. He tends to move probably 3 to 4 positions higher when it's wet than when it's dry, so that in and of itself could be a bit more good news for Simmink, particularly if, say for instance, Gaxella or McNaughton have setups that are not designed for slippery conditions.
Yep, that's very true, and Ben, he's impressed me a lot this season. He's come on a lot as a driver. Very impressed with him. But one man in that session who did impress me as well was Dewey Tapper, up in 4th position. I think that'll turn to 5th after the grid sorts itself out. But very good job, and he was actually fastest in qualifying for quite a while actually. So good job from Tapper. Just one thing, Oscar, is this your first commentary?
No, it isn't. It's I've done a couple of Formula Challenge this season, and
the only reason I ask is because I feel like I'm working alongside Murray Walker. So, because you are
I
very
don't know
good
if
at
that's
it,
a good thing or a bad thing.
It's a very good thing actually, because you're starting to worry me now. Because honestly, you've actually really surprised me, because I didn't know if you'd done it before or not, and then just jump into this role straight away was like pretty awesome. So fair play to that one.
Done it a couple of times, and tried to do it well. You've got the viewers and you've got the drivers who no doubt will want to watch it back afterwards, and the commentary, it's something that's meant to add. It does make it better than just watching the cars go around, and it allows for other people to put in their insight, to have interviews post-race, and it's, particularly with sim racing, it builds on it. It doesn't just make it a group of guys meeting up to race, you have a full thing, a whole selection of things going on. It's why having the development in the Super League as well is so great. You get such a complete package when you've got stuff like commentary going on.
Indeed, and it definitely has, like you say, adds something to it. And seeing as you're so good at the commentary, then you can pronounce most of the names as I do struggle with them.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
David Fidek has messaged me and says that he could take an interview right now, so I'll drag him down, which he did request this before the race. Wherever he is, I can't find him on the TeamSpeak at the moment. Oh, there he is. But he did request an interview before the race, so I'll drag him in here and we'll get an interview. And here he is, David Fidok. Welcome to the booth. And hopefully I've pronounced your name correctly this time, as you did point out in the practice session to me. Second on the grid, a great last lap to move within 2/10 of Gaxella, your championship rival. What do you expect to do this race?
Yeah, quali was close. Didn't think that lap was going to count because I crossed the line with 1 second left, but luckily got it in. 41.2 was my limit anyway, so Gaxella still would have had pole. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be a close race. We're all pretty similar on race pace as well, including Tapper and Cantonen. So yeah, just hope to get in the mix, and hopefully someone slows down Gaxella.
Well, that's the thing. You're 87 points behind. There's not many races to go, so you've got very little to lose in some respects. It's the fact that you may as well have a go. I think what we all want to see is you and Gaxella going at it, hammer and tongue up front, because the last few races it's been a bit mixed up, where Gaxella's had a problem or you've had a problem, and one wins the race and one's at the back. We want to see both of you up front today battling. Do you think that's possible?
I really hope so. Yeah, like you said, I haven't raced in wheel to wheel properly yet, which is odd for two championship contenders. But you know, the weather at the minute is 80% wet on track, so there's going to be a lot thrown into this race, like whether the start on wets or dries. If it starts wet, then obviously Gaxella's starting on the racing line, which is always a little bit drier, so we might have a better start. But we'll see. Hopefully we will get clean starts, and yeah, we can have a nice battle throughout the race.
Okay, good luck with that. Oscar, any questions for David?
Only questions regarding, I would say, the Teams and Drivers Championship. Obviously, yourself and Ben have managed to make a push over the past, say, 6 or 7 rounds to put Simic into the lead of the Constructors' Championship, but there's still a sizable gap to Gaxella, and are there any scenarios under which you could see yourself maybe challenging for the drivers as well and making it a Simic double at the end of the year?
Only if the guy DNFs the next like 5 or 6 races, but it's not going to happen. But like I said, from Spa, I think it was when I got interviewed, I said I wasn't going to give up, and I'm definitely not going to do that. I never give up. You know, I joined the championship 110 points behind Gaxella, and despite being it off in 4 races whilst on a podium spot, I'm still 87 behind, which isn't too bad. So, you know, anything can happen in this formula anyway. So, just got to keep your head down and push, and hopefully something happens.
Yeah, well, best of luck to yourself and Ben, and obviously the best of luck to all the other drivers today, as the conditions look to be setting themselves up as tricky, to say the least. Thank you very much for joining us for an interview. Hopefully you'll be finishing high up in the races, so we can see you once again later on post-race.
Yeah, cheers guys.
Best of luck.
Thank
Good
you.
luck, David. Just to quickly point out as well to some people who are watching, apologies if you've got any issues with the broadcast. Quite a few people have messaged me saying they're having a bit of trouble watching. I think it's just the sheer volume of cars we've got at the moment, and the rain's not really helping, so just stick with it. Hopefully it'll clear up during the race or something.
Yeah, there's always going to be one or two broadcast issues now and then, and should there be any issues during the live broadcast today, please remember that give it a few days, give the guys that are in charge a few days to sort it out, and you'll likely see this as a video on demand on the GPVWC YouTube channel, and most likely through SimRace TV as well.
Indeed. And obviously, you know, to head over to gpvwc.com, as you already said, Oscar, and if you enjoy what you see on screen, get signed up, come join in the action. I mean, well, to be fair, the grid's already full, so I don't think there's any room in this league, but you can get involved in other series of racing.
Indeed, we've got the Masters Series that's due to start up, I believe, in just about a month and a half's time now. That's going to be the first RFAT 2 league run through GPVWC. Definitely one to get yourself involved with. And, you know, put your name on the job request form if you're interested. There is no doubt a seat lying around somewhere ready to be filled. So, if you're looking for some racing on your Tuesday, Wednesday or Thursday nights, then this is definitely the place to come.
Yep, that's very true. One thing I want to point out in this as well is that the warm-up session, obviously 10 minutes long, not everyone's out there on track, which surprises me a little bit, because to be fair, I've been testing at Nurburgring for quite a few days and we've had no rain whatsoever. Then we suddenly get to the warm-up session and who knows, I mean, this is what it could be like at the race start. So I want to be out there now, getting a few laps in, you know, getting used to the wet. I noticed Fidock obviously hasn't gone out because he's doing an interview with us, so come race start, if it's raining, and Gagseller also has not been out, so them two are going to be you know, trying to find out where the grip is into turn one, where the other guys at least have an idea. So if it was me, I'd be out on track now. Yeah,
it's all to do with the new system brought in with the RFE and the weather settings for the races. It used to be that there was an average taken across the 3 days for the career ladder. So say if it was very rainy on the Tuesday but dry by the Thursday, you would have somewhere in the middle, so average chance of rain and whatnot. And now it's being done slightly later on, and it's looking at weather specific days. So for this week, it's only Formula Challenge that has been forecast any rain, whereas both Super Cup and Super League have been forecast dry and sunny. I believe it might actually be a bit cloudier for Super League than Super Cup this week, I'm not 100% sure, but this is going to be the only day this week that you see rain, and that's how the forecast has panned out. And with these individual days, it certainly adds a certain amount of dynamic change to the league. You can't get all of the data you need just from practicing on the career ladder server throughout the week now, because there's other weather, other factors that you need to consider prior to going into your individual race.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that one. Another league I raced in did that at one point as well, where they used basically like real life weather conditions on the day. Just give me a few minutes, I'm having a few game issues once again.
Yeah, a few people having some game issues, although it can be one of those things that happens. We've had in excess of 45 connections to the server so far. I mean, you cannot take it away from Formula Challenge. Easily been the most popular of the series so far this year, with easy 25 if not 30 plus car grids on a race by race basis, and we're at round 14 of 18. This is normally the point in the season where you start to see dwindling numbers, but FC just keeps on getting stronger and stronger.
Yeah, I've done Formula Challenge, obviously commentary now for the last 2 years, and it always drops off, you know, towards the end of the year. I think at one point we had about 16 cars or something like that. You know, this year, I mean, we still, I mean, I can't even get in the server when I'm trying to join as a commentator because there's that many cars, you know what I mean? It's madness.
Yeah, it's incredible, and you can't, it's obviously difficult with the server issues it can cause, but it's such a positive for the league and the drivers to have this number of people and this amount of potential competition.
Yeah, I agree. It just shows the interest in GPVWC, which is a good thing. The only thing I'd suggest for Formula Challenge, and this is not me trying to tell the admins how to run the league or anything like that, you know, please don't take this wrong, but all I'm trying to say is this Formula Challenge is a bit crazy sometimes. I don't think the game itself can handle this when your car's like properly, or it doesn't seem to be able to. I think a lot, yeah, I'm having issues still again. I can't get back in at this rate, but yeah, the only thing I'd say is maybe like, I don't know, maybe like introduce some sort of pre-qualifying to this Formula Challenge thing or something, so there's like only, you know, so many cars allowed to race, and if someone's slightly off the pace, they don't get in the race, and so I don't know, but just to try and split it up a bit.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, there's changes between the seasons all the time. It's what the whole off-season is to do. It's to do with improving and changing various bits and bobs that don't work quite as well as you'd like them to, and there's certainly, say, room for expansion in Super Cup or Super League for an extra 1 or 2 teams there, and then I see it as a feasible option that maybe there would be a limited number of teams accepted into FC next year, maybe with expanded numbers of drivers or just a larger general number of teams compared to the 2 higher tiers. But it's just those things, and at the moment we can't know for sure what's likely to happen in the following season, but all these things, the various people timing out, no doubt be considered by the admins at a later date when looking at what to change next year, and it wouldn't surprise me if you see a vast improvement. That's the nice thing about a recurring seasons that goes on each year. We have it annually, it allows for improvements, it allows for rule changes and things like that, so it all works to its advantage at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, of course, obviously you learn from things, you change things obviously for the better, and obviously you learn from mistakes and so on. You know, I'm not saying that anyone's made any mistakes as such, but obviously you learn from events that have happened. And the good thing is with this year especially, it's more open to the public of racing. GPVWC, we can now provide our suggestions to what we want to see in the league and things like that more than we could before. You know, we really have an involvement in the league now, which is a good thing. You might be doing this broadcast on your own, unfortunately, because I have no way of getting back into this server at the moment.
Yeah, it seems to be a fairly common problem with still, if I have a look at the server, only at 40, and I've seen it much higher than that. So, continuing on, just looking around, I mean, we've got people like Simonchik for Adonis, who I believe was 3rd in qualifying and then had some sort of connection issue. He has been out on track, as Lee was saying. You should probably be out on track when the conditions like this, and he is currently 8 tenths faster. And he must have done that a while ago, only 4 laps, so maybe not even when the racing line was at its driest. So you can definitely see people like him who have actually gone out, put in the effort to have a crack on the wet track. If that's to happen again in the race, then you never know. I mean, there's going to be different people who are quick. That's how the wet weather works. It's why it's a nice dynamic to have. So it's going to be interesting to see. Like I say, I imagine the likes of Ben Warren and a couple of others who are a bit further back. You frequently see people like Simon Smith, Ollie Woods, Chris Williamson. A couple of people who might more frequently be backmarkers tend to get themselves towards the points position. I mean, we saw not last time out, but a couple of weeks ago back at Spa, that was the first time that Simon Smith got points this season. And I believe it was the first time that Backmarker Brigade, that's the team name, and I'm going to get shot for that one later, but that was the first time they had a double points this season. So, fantastic job, and it's one of those lovely dynamics that allows for new teams, new drivers to be getting points and getting good results. So, still waiting for a few to rejoin the server. Rain still pelting down on the track's surface. Having a look, who are the big names that haven't been out on track? Fiddick, Gaxella, Tapper, Gaia, McNaughton and Joseph. All of those top 10, easy top 10 runners on a race-by-race basis have not been out to try the wet conditions. And I think it's fair to say, not only is that the wettest that they've seen it through the official sessions so far this evening, but it's also the most actual precipitation they saw, because regardless of how wet it is, though all those cars driving around will bring down the wetness on the track very quickly. But if it's still raining at, say, 30%, they can take it from 80 to 30. They're going to be struggling to get it below that wetness after that, and it's going to require a lot of adaptability from some of these drivers, and we've seen it from a few and not so much from others. Gaxella's a concern. He always seems to run very high-speed setups, makes him absolutely impossible to pass cleanly when it comes to dry running, but shoots him in the foot when it comes to the wet because he's just not got the grip that he's expecting. So I'm thinking we might see the likes of Fiddick, definitely Tapper, who looked as though he was running a high downforce setup, very quick through the first sector and not so good through the third, so be interesting to see. I'm going to say if it rains, I might even put money on Tapper to win this one and get Gaxella to fall backwards a bit, whilst fighting with Fiddick, who also looks as though he's on a slightly lower downforce. As I've been informed, my co-commentator for this evening, Lee Morris, still having a couple of issues with joining the server, and being told on the server now by our race director Dave Carr-Smith for today that there are also a couple of drivers that are having issues. So, a few things being done. When you get a server overburden like this, it's bound to happen. But we've had it a few times this season and soldiered on, so we'll no doubt be soldering on once more. Looking through other drivers who are worth mentioning, and I think it's worth throwing this one out there. James Kirk, vast improvement in qualifying. I saw him up in the top 10 for the vast majority of that session, so that marker brigade looking good once again for some points. Didn't see where Simon Smith was, although I know he's been putting in some laps and trying his best, so definitely potential to get himself put in a nice position on the reserve grid, and with the conditions like this, it's all about staying out of trouble. And we've seen from the likes of Smith and, like I say, Woods, a couple of the people who you hear more frequently being at the back. They are fantastic at keeping out of trouble and putting themselves in good positions for the reverse grid races. I cannot count the number of times this year in the World Sports Series that Chris Williamson was on pole for race 2 of that. So many times, and it's so much about positioning when you have rules such as reserve grids there. Reverse grids, rather, not reserve grids. Getting a few specific call-outs now on people. Yeah, there we are. ETA on James Kirk, loading up track. I think Pedro's saying something in Portuguese that we probably wouldn't want to say in English. Yeah, everything's going fairly good so far. A couple of drivers that I'm going to bring up if they're here. I say a couple, there's one in particular. Ben Hackson for Viking Racing. He has been saying in the chat today that this is his first proper sim race, and FC is certainly one way to throw yourself in at the deep end. Best of luck to him in Viking Racing. Mike Bell joining him, who's done a few things here and there at GPVWC. I'm aware that he's been sim racing for a good long time, and he's actually been improving through the FC format, which is pretty impressive, keeping himself out of trouble. So, interesting to watch that. Squire cars out as usual, pootling around at the back a bit, but you never know. All fairness to people like Ron, he's improved massively, and it shows sensible driving when around faster drivers and whatnot, and provided that you can do that, then there's no reason why you shouldn't be on the track. So it's great. The whole grid so far throughout the season has been improving. The number of incidents for FC has been decreasing steadily, so fantastic. Right, I'm going to throw this one out there, just getting all sorts of whispers in my ear. There's going to be a server restart issued just to get everybody back in and hopefully let the server take a breather. Probably cooking itself at the moment. Going to see how that goes for everyone. Hopefully we'll get my commentating buddy for today, Lee Morris, back in, and all of the drivers that are currently having connection issues as well. Going to get myself off the server whilst that is done. Do keep with us here at SimRace TV for the GPVWC Formula Challenge from the Nurburgring. Sorry for the delay, but sometimes technical issues do just take a hold like this, and no doubt we'll be back as soon as possible with some footage, commentary, and with all the best intention in the world, some races for you. Okay then, so server restart in full swing now, drivers rejoining the track, and I believe I've got the lovely Lee Morris back with me as well.
You have indeed, sir.
So, everything getting itself back underway. We apologise once again for that technical issue and slight delay. Hopefully things will be up and running soon. I'd imagine that we're going to just let another full warm-up run here, so we've got about 7 3/4 minutes worth of that to go. People getting out on track and now dry track to do some running, so I guess it's a bit more likely to see those fast guys going out who are obviously banking on the track staying dry for the race.
Well, the track's slightly damp at the moment, but it's not wet as such there. I think it's fully dry now. But, yeah, I mean, this has disrupted everyone massively, so I'd expect everyone to go out and try and get reaccustomed to the track now.
Yeah, it's definitely a difficult thing as a driver to have a delay put on you like that. They talk about it in real racing when you get red flag situations and you get yourself all psyched up, ready to race, and then all of a sudden you're stopped and you've got to get yourself right the way back into that frame of mind. And it's not completely dissimilar for these guys who are all getting themselves geared up for an exciting and potentially wet race, and then they've had that taken away from them and they've got another 10 minutes to wait.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're both racers as well, and you know exactly how that feels when you're sat there and you're just about ready and something happens. It sort of leaves a sinking feeling inside, which is not nice, because you just want to get going and get on with it, and it's always hard to sort of get focused again afterwards.
It is indeed, and again, it's certainly a skill that people attain as drivers over time, and there'll be some more experienced guys in the race today who will find that they can get straight back on the pace, and others that will be thinking, oh god, why am I 6/10 off at the moment? And they're going to have to really get themselves geared up and back in the right frame of mind to do this right.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, it's an opportunity. That's the thing. If you're on pole, it's a disruptance. You know, it's a nuisance. If you're 21st, 22nd, or last, it's an opportunity, because it gives you a chance to maybe even try and find something different, or to take advantage of the people that might be sort of sweating a little bit up front because they've had to reacclimatise, and you're just sort of more settled in some respects. The man who it would affect most probably would be say Gaxella, he'd done a storming lap, he was ready to go, all prepared, and all of a sudden it just gets disrupted like this. Fiduk will have to take advantage of that if he can.
Yeah, I mean, like we were saying, Fiduk in the position he is that far behind, if he wants to keep his hopes alive, does have to take every opportunity and every chance that's presented to him, which is a tough call to make, because at the same time, with the gap not being that big in terms of constructors back to Storm, he can't afford to throw himself off the track either. So lots going on in that head for David Fiduk at the moment, and he's got to be the thinker's man at the moment. He's got to be fast and also be the thinker's man. So lots and lots on his shoulders to be getting right at the moment.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm forgetting that as well. I said to Fiduk that obviously there's nothing to worry about as such. He can just go for it. But of course, you're right. The Constructors' Championship, they are leading that. So, he's got to bring it home still and try and take points off Storm. So it's not just about him; it's about the team as well, which it should always be about. But I mean, he sounded like he was up for it, didn't he? In the interview, he sounded like he was going to give it a go and really try and challenge Gaxella. So hopefully, we can see some wheel-to-wheel action between them two, because it's about time.
Yeah, and we've seen them come close, and we've seen Gaxella race with other drivers, we've seen Fiduk race with other drivers, but never really taking lumps out of each other as of yet. And it's one of those big battles. It's like Euler and Heasterbeek up in Super League, and maybe Lapala and when he was driving, and Giuseppe Ranieri in Super Cup. You really want to see those big guns at the front taking chunks out of each other. And if we saw that today with Fiduk and Gaxella in race 1, if they kept close the entire time, I could almost guarantee it's going to be the race of the season so far.
Yeah, not only Lucas and Histerbeek, but myself and yourself in Silverstone practice. I don't know if you remember that one.
Well, more me getting in the way, but as is life.
Well, you seemed to take a chunk out of my front nose that day anyway, so I think I took a chunk out of your side pod as well. So, but yeah, taking chunks out of each other, not the wisest thing to do, but it's certainly entertaining.
Yeah, and from a commentator's point, from a viewer's standpoint, that spectator standpoint, it's what you want to see. You want to see them going a bit mad at each other, and as much as it might not produce clean racing or technically good racing, it produces so much to watch and so much to talk about. And that's really got to be what you hope for in these situations, as much as the drivers will most likely be wanting a fairly dull race where they can just put it around to the position that they want.
Well, that's the thing. It's purely down to the driver in this, isn't it? I mean, that's the thing. We don't need DRS. We don't need KERS. We don't need anything like that. Any, melting tyres or anything like that. You just go out and race for 15 laps or whatever it may be, and just go for it. And that's what we want to see.
Indeed it is, and getting closer now. Only 3 minutes left of this second warm-up that's been put in place, and server appears to be more stable from what I can see. No one's really dropping out or losing out. You've managed to stay in so far, so server restart doing its job.
Yeah, it's certainly made it better for me now. I mean, I'm sat here and I'm having no issues so far whatsoever, so fingers crossed that'll stay the same. And it seems most of the field is the same way, so that's good. We want to see a full car field racing, and at this moment in time there are 48 people inside this server. I think that totals about 45 of them which will be starting the race, which is utter madness.
It is indeed, and as is always the question with Formula Challenge, how many of those 45 are likely to be making lap 2?
Should we put some bets on this actually? Because me and Liam were meant to do this the other week, we never did. So let's start putting some little wagers on this. So how many cars are going to be out there in the lap 1?
Well, I'm going to say 7, because if it was any higher, it would be reaching the credentials for a red flag and a restart.
Okay, let's change that then, because let's say how many cars will finish the race.
How many cars will finish the race? Then I'm going to say 30 is a good bet.
30, okay, yeah, that seems like a good number. I'll say 27.
Oh, I'm not being quite as optimistic as myself then today.
Well, it's a tough track, and some high-speed chicanes which could make it fun. And also, what about the winner? I mean, it looks like it's between Fidek and Gexella, so we're both going to have to go one way or the other, so I'll let you have first stabs.
Well, I was saying prior, if it was raining, I think that Fidek and Gaxella are both running low downforce setups, looking at their sector. The guy who was quickest in sector 1 through practice when I was watching live races during the week was Dewey Tapper, so I'm going to say Tapper's going to win it.
Wow, well, that's certainly fair. In fact, actually, I'll join you on that one, to be fair. Not on Tapper, but I'll not go with Gaxella or Fidek, because it's cheating, really, isn't it?
It is.
So what I'll go with, let's have a look. I'll get back to you on this one. I'll go with Florian Gaia then.
Florian Gaia, outsider, is starting 6th on the grid, I believe, for Multi-21 Racing.
Yeah, just a random outside bet, because I can see, to be fair, if we look at the two leaders, they are going to be close together, I reckon, and who knows, they could take each other out. It's very possible.
It is indeed, and what I was talking about originally is when you said about not everyone going out on track when it was raining, and one of the people that did go out was Tapper, and looking at the sectors from qualifying, Tapper is the person who would appear to have the higher downforce package. So should it rain, then Tapper would be a more obvious bet than he would be if it was to stay dry.
Yeah, that's very true, and once again it shows what we were saying in practice as well, qualifying, sorry, about the fact that the rain is an opportunity, because what you could do is for the week you could just sort of take a gamble. If you're further down the field, just say, right, I'm going to set my car up to be in a higher downforce package this week, even if it makes me slower overall. If it rains, I'll be in the money. So the gambles are worth taking if you're further down the field.
It is indeed, and Tapper not in the Drivers' Championship, not in the Teams' Championship, so he's here for glory in the win, so you got to think he's the kind of guy that can be taking risks like that.
I think he's 5th in the Drivers' Championship, actually. I think he's quite high up. He's 4th or 5th, something like that. So he has actually got quite a few points, if I've read it correctly.
Non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
Yeah, but at the same time he's not in the fight for, say, taking the Drivers' Championship at the moment, so maybe he can take a few more risks.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, obviously he's not in the title fight, I see what you're saying. He can take more risks and go for it, a bit like Fidek's got to today.
Indeed, and looking at the track at the moment, bone dry, so let's hope not. Let's hope not too many risks have been taken with wet setups, because that track is dry.
Yeah, I'm just looking down the field to see if anyone's going to take a chance to start on wets. I know it's not raining or anything, but you never know. Someone might just, at the back, just stick a set of wets on. And that is a very packed out grid, as our cameraman Lewis Redshaw has just noticed.
Yeah, indeed, a very, very closely stacked together. Going to make for interesting viewing for me tomorrow when I do my Super Cup race. Anyway, time to go through the field, and I guess we can split this one in half. I'll do the top 20 and any tricky names that you get stuck on, and you can do the second 20 if you'd like.
You're very confident about yourself, aren't you, and your ability to pronounce these names?
Well, this is when I get all of them wrong, so we'll see. Anyway, moving on to the positions of the drivers post-qualifying. Emmanuel Gaxella taking yet another pole position for Storm Racing. Fantastic job from him in a storming lap, full 2/10 clear of our second place man, David Feiduk for Simming Motorsport. In third place is Askari Kantonen. It looks like I'm missing a couple of people because it's showing me as Tapper in fourth, and I'm believing that is, the name escapes me, but the other Adonis car not about at the moment. So Tapper fourth, Guy has moved up to fifth that way. Adrian McNaughton, fantastic qualifying from him to get sixth for Storm, really getting their title chances back on the road in terms of the constructors. Seventh is Pedro Melim. 8th, Ari Neiman, and 9th, Paul Joseph. James Kirk with a good qualifying lap to get 10th for Back Mountain Brigade. 11th is Jack Nichols with Ben Warren in 12th. Thomas Jacobs managed to get himself 13th with Scott Beresford in 14th. 15th is Matt Clip for Royal Blue Racing with Riku Sarpia in 16th. Lewis McGlade for Levaxian is in 17th with Cameron Brewster right behind. Martin Palmer's put himself in 19th, and Mikko Ikonen for Tanskanen Racing is in 20th. Over to you for the second half of the grid.
Yeah, I've just noticed how unfair this is actually. You say it would split it halfway. I've got about 28 drivers to do now. So Ben Hackerson is 21st for Viking Racing. Daniel Leake for Wouters Automotive is 22nd. Jeff Cable 23rd. Fran Lopez, the two Positive Sim Racing cars, 24th and 25th with Fran Lopez and Carlos Lopez. John Munro 26th, again Team Roxel lining out together, Matt Richards just behind him. Franz Schneider further down the field than I'd expect to see him, usually up the front. Hansco Mebius in the smartest car, as Liam usually names it. Xavier De Cavallo is 30th position. Tim Wagner 31st. Scott Woodwis in 32nd, sat in the pits at the moment though. Chris Williamson, Simon Smith further down the field than he was last race, had a great result last time out I believe. David Benham, Ollie Woods, Mike Bell, Ron Squire, Jonathan Acerclinth, Wupke Hoekstra, that's 40th position, and there's a few more yet to go. That's Floria Kalin, Victor Silva, Todo Pangev, and I think that rounds out the 44 starters.
Indeed it does, and what a mighty sized field it is. Quite a thing to look at as they're all lining up and just still coming round the last corner, and they've pretty much filled up the whole front straight.
Yeah, I mean, we saw at France the back of the grid started on the final corner. I think it's going to be very similar. No, they are just going to get onto the grid today because it's quite a compact grid, as you can see. And P44 is just about to come into position. That's Pangev, and he's taking up his final slot now. Over to you, Oscar.
Okay then, getting ready for the race start. Here we go, the lights are getting ready to come on. I'm going to see now, 1 light, 2, 3, as the revs rise, there's the green, everyone's getting away, no incidents as of yet. Looks like a slow start from James Kirk in 10th position. No big incidents that I can see so far. We've got Feiduk looking to the inside of Gaxella, who's getting cut off pretty aggressively there. And they're going to get through turn 1 okay. Feiduk's still looking to make a move, and they've got a big coming together there. Good save from Gaxella though. Well, let's go throw it back up the inside. See, this is what we're talking about. They're pushing each other off the road already, and here comes, I believe that's Kantonen, who's having a look as well, and Tapper's being ousted by Ari Neiman in 5th. I've heard a couple of spinners going off in the background as well. Don't know if we've caught exactly who they are. Now, all in all, a pretty clean start.
Yeah, I was just looking down the back of the field. There's only a few guys who've had a few issues. Benham's had an issue. Brewster's lost his rear wing. Apart from that, the guys have been pretty clean down the back. It was actually a really good start, very close into turn 1. But Feiduk did try to make that move, didn't he? But it didn't quite work out. And it looks like you're going to win this race because my guy Gaia is down in 13th position.
Yeah, not a perfect start from Guy. Potentially maybe missing the use of the launch control there if he's maybe bogged down on the start and lost lots of position to all of the guys that are using it.
Look at Feiduk. Look at Feiduk.
Yeah.
He's got a great run.
Still very close.
He's got Gaxella's having to go to the inside to defend, and he moves back across. That's very dangerous from Gaxella. And whoa! And Feiduk takes the lead, and Cantona goes through as well. That was Gaxella's mistake there. He moved across on the racing line, but Feiduk slowing down on the apex. That's giving Cantona the run.
Yeah, it has indeed. So here we are up in the air already. We've got Kantonen, who neither of us put any money on winning this race, who's looking as though he might go for the lead now, and loads of straight line speed from that car. Is Feiduk going to... Oh, Gaxella!
Yeah, he's down to 4th, is he? Yeah, he comes back on in 4th position, so not too bad. Nyman might get a run on him, but it's not going to happen, I don't think. Gaxella recovers it. But to look at Tapper up in 3rd position, he's now got a run on... It's going to be 3 wide into turn 1, this.
It is indeed. We've had a spinner further back. I think it was Riku Sarpi has had a spin towards the back. Oh, and Kajala's gone around the outside of McNaughton into turn 1.
Yeah, and Fiddick's trying to take back the inside, which he does. Cantona went in slightly too wide. He was always offline there. Tapper just looking to take it back. Gaxella comes down the inside of Tapper. And Cantona and Fiddick side by side. Gaxella's now back into third, and he's looking like he's going to move up a position now from being in fourth and falling back. He's now on the back of them. Fiddick trying to get past Cantona, and he's going to go around the outside. Brilliant move. And Gaxella's looking to pick up the piece as well. He knows he needs to get after Fiddick. And he's trying to put his cat on the inside. Cantona's gone wide, and that should give Gaxella the position.
Good indeed. That's Gaxella. He's going to be able to do it on the brakes here, is he? Ooh, maybe not. Good bit of driving from Cantona. He's going to take that line.
Bit of contact there. He did actually run up the back of Cantona there, and Tapper did have a run, but then had to basically get out the throttle, so he didn't make contact with Gaxella there. But very differences in the setups. You can see already the differences in top speeds, and the confidence Fiddick had under braking to take that off Cantona was brilliant. But Cantona's coming back in now for the middle sector. He's going to get a run at his back straight again. Look at this, he's closed right up.
Yeah, Cantona's car almost seems as though it is built for the long straights and fast corners more than anything, because it's not fantastic on the brakes or through the first sector. But from that point onwards, he really does start pulling it back.
This has got to be the cleanest start in the history of GPVWC. We've had one retirement, and that's it. One retirement at the end of lap 1 out of a 44 car field into one of the tightest turn 1s we've ever seen.
Yeah. As I was saying, the quality of Formula Challenge has just been a progressive improvement throughout the season, and these guys are a testament to themselves. Fantastic start from everyone.
And not only no retirements, very few cars with damage, which is also a credit to them. So good job from all the guys there to turn 1. Fiddick locks his brakes, goes slightly wide. Cantona looking to the faster of the cars now, and this is strange from Cantona. He does this every race. He qualifies okay, 3rd or 4th, but in the race he's always there fighting for the win.
Yeah, sometimes that's the way it is. I've heard lots of people say that they're more comfortable with the cars on higher fuel. They get a bit more stability in them, and maybe Cantona is a driver that really benefits from having a stable car underneath him.
Well, the other thing to look at as well is the fact that there's very little dirty air comes out of these cars, and the fact that he's in the slipstream. So he's basically just sat in the slipstream now, and he's getting free lap time. So, as soon as he passes him, we see Fiddick might be the fastest person. Fiddick having to go defensive now as they come down to the hairpin. Will Cantona try around the outside? There's grip on the outside. You can do that manoeuvre, but Fiddick brakes late. But Cantona is trying the outside, and he's going to get the run off the corner. Will he? Oh, he's been squeezed, and that's contact there. That's nearly... Oh, I thought Fiddick was going to be out of the race there. Gaxella looking to pounce.
Yeah, well, all three of these front guys, minus potentially Cantona, have really been pushing the issue when it comes to defensive driving, and you can only think that that's going to end in tears for someone if they keep at it.
Yeah,
Squire, I think, dives out of the way of someone in the background there. Very close call.
This is dangerous racing now. This isn't what
Fiddick when the rain's coming down.
It is, yeah, the rain's just started. I was just about to say this is dangerous, and it's getting quite wet very, very quickly. Now, if you were in 10th plus, would you dive into the pits for wets now and take a gamble? No, because it's just got slightly drier, so possibly not quite ready for wets yet. But Fiddick, this isn't what he needs. He needs to get away up front and just get away and leave these to battle, but he can't at the moment. He's not got the pace over Cantona, and Gaxella's got the run on him now. So this slightly wet track, Fiddick, and look at Tapper. Just as you said, the higher downforce package Tapper. As soon as it rains, he's right on the back of the leaders again.
Yeah, I think it's just he's got the superior grip off the corners.
Gaxella's going to make contact with Cantona.
Oh, and Gaxella!
He was lucky there not to take Cantona out there. That was lucky from Gaxella there. He's driving very erratically at the moment. Not like the championship leader we're used to seeing. And now Tapper's going to have a launch down the inside, is it? Nope. He thinks better of it. Fiddick goes defensive. This is going to end in tears.
It is indeed, and you can see in the background Niemannen's sitting there waiting for it to do just that, ready to pounce and get himself another podium on Kajala's score sheet for the year.
Yeah, I'll just quickly round at the top 10 while it's counted down slightly. We've got Cantona and Fiddick, Gaxella, Tapper, the top 4, as you can see on your screen, all close together. As I'll cheer up a sec because Gaxella has got a run on Fiddick. Fiddick goes to the inside to defend. I don't think he'll make this one stick. And then it's Nyman with a gap of about 2 seconds behind. Then you've got we've got after that we've got Matt Clip, Jack Nicholls doing a great job up in 8th position actually. Then Frank Schneider, Ben Warren running out the top 10.
Indeed, and again Ben Warren's hanging on to that top 10 really nicely.
Yeah, this and McNaughton's dropped down the grid obviously as well. He's down to 14th now, so that's helping Simic.
Apparently a spin earlier on from McNaughton has cost him that position.
And you can see Tapper now really benefiting with these slightly wet conditions. It's only damp out there, and look at Cantona starting to pull away now. We saw this in France, he was able to do this, get away and pull up and actually, build a race gap, a race winning lead. And he's doing the same again. He's letting these guys battle, and he's pulling away pretty quickly now. He's got a 1.3 second gap as we come across the start finish line to start lap 4.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, you could say he's just got the coolest head, because he was the only one out of himself, Videk and Gaxella, that wasn't pushing people off the track. He kept his head together, kept his cool. And when you do that, you're not flustered like the two behind, and when you're flustered, you're slow. So, fantastic job from Canton, and I think it's all just in the psyche that he uses when it comes to the race.
Well, it might not be for the lead, but this is what we've been waiting for between Gaxella and Videk. They are going into hammer and tong. Videk's having to defend massively from Gaxella, and Gaxella tries too hard on the brake in there, makes contact with Videk's rear end again. Videk won't be very impressed with Gaxella's driving at the moment. I can't blame him too much because he's made a lot of contact with cars at the moment. Tapper has also been very sensible. You mentioned Cantonen's been sensible, so has Tapper. He's basically sat there throughout this, not made any rash moves. He's just sat there and kept a nice controlled pace, and he's letting these guys take themselves out if that happens. Whoa, and again, Gaxella really lucky to keep the car under control there, and Tapper's got to run him now as he comes down to the hairpin. Tapper's going to try the outside line. Gaxella brakes very late and defends his position very well. Nice block pass there.
Indeed, and again, that was just an example of Tapper not pressing the issue. He was showing the outside, he gave it a go, but it wasn't to be, and he's not, forcing Gaxella off the road. Although these two being as close together as they are, it's allowing Niemanen to get up onto the back of them, so we could well see this become a very big three-way battle for the third position as Videk now looks to make a break for it and get after Cantonen.
Yeah, I was just about to say Niemanen's closed up massively in this lap. I mean, he was about 2 seconds behind a minute ago. I know these guys have been battling, but I'd like to see his lap time. Obviously, it might get balked slightly now by Tapper. Is he going to let down the inside? He half-hearted look. He decides to back out with it, which I think is a sensible option. Tapper looking quicker than Gaxella when he's stuck behind Videk, but now Videk's got free air. Can he get after Cantonen, who's got a 2 second gap now? So let's check the lap times this time by Cantonen 42.8. Now the rain stopped. 43.4 for Videk. Then we've got Gaxella 44.4. Niemanen does a 44.2, so just as fast as the leaders. Tapper's got superb straight line speed considering you thought he was on a high downforce package. Maybe that's just a slipstream making up for it. Got a run on Gaxella into turn 1, didn't quite work out.
Yeah, well, again, just going off, I guess he could just be suited to Sector 1. You never know with these cars as close as they are. Quick
shout out to Scott Beresford as well in 6th position. He's doing a superb job. He's only 5 seconds off the lead at the moment, and only 2 seconds behind the championship leader Gaxella, so great job from Scott.
Yeah, another shout out, if we're on that subject, Franz Schneider has moved himself up into a fantastic position. Can't quite see what that is at the moment. It looks like it might be 9th.
9th position. He was 17th, something like that when I read it out. Actually, he was further down, wasn't he? And Gaxella going to lose his third position. He does lose the third position to Tapper. Tapper takes the inside line into the hairpin. Gaxella's trying to come back on the exit, but it's forced onto the grass. And this will give Niemanen a chance to possibly take that 4th position. But this is what Videk needs, isn't it?
It is exactly what Videk needs. It's not only the battling between the two, but more importantly, people sticking themselves in front of Gaxella and increasing the points gap race by race.
Yeah, this is what Videk needs. Well pointed out there. That I'm still saying it wrong. But yes, he's actually closing down his Videk on Cantonen now. He took 2/10 of him on the last lap, or so far on this lap. So Videk is actually now settled into a race pace, and he's going for that lead, and he needs to win this race while Gaxella's down in 4th. That would do his championship, with no end of good.
It would indeed, and we've seen from Videk multiple times this season. You put him in a position like this, where he's not getting hit off the track all the time, and he can perform absolutely fantastically, and I honestly believe, can't quite see the lap times there, you seem to be better at following them than me, but if he can, he'll catch Canton and he will try his best to win this race.
Well, he was 3/10 faster that time, but he did his best lap of the race, a 42.9. Cantonen was a 43.2, Tapper 43.3, so, and Gaxella 43.9, so Gaxella was pretty slow on that lap. But Beresford 44.2, he's lapping pretty consistent as well. But Videk definitely has got the pace over Cantonen. If he can take a couple of tenths out of him a lap, that's all he needs to do, and he'll be on the back of him winning 5 laps.
Indeed, few battles worth mentioning further down. You've got McGlade and Kirk taking chunks out of each other as a newcomer to sim racing and GPVWC. Then Hackerson, gets dived there by McGlade and turned round. And they're both in the fence. That was a silly move from McGlade, really. Being opportunistic when there's not an opportunity there to take. Harsh move, drops them both down a bunch of positions. Hoekstra now attacking Hackerson further back.
Yeah, Hackerson only lost a few places there. He came off the best from that one in some respects, which is only fair, I guess. McGlade lost a good, 8 places there in that one. Hackerson down to 20th. But, Yeah, the gaps are all spread out up front now. We've got a 5-car train pretty much, 6-car train if you include Scott, and Matt Clipp as well doing a great job in 7th position. He's really come on good as well lately, hasn't he? Jack Nicholls, this is his strongest performance for a long time. I mean, usually he's further down the midfield, but he's up in 8th position, challenging Matt Clipp for that 7th. So great to see Jack up there, the commentator extraordinaire.
Indeed it is, and in fact there's plenty of commentators in the race today. You could almost have the commentator trophy, there's enough of them.
Well, when you first started commentating, when you opened the broadcast, I honestly thought it was Simon Smith with me. You sound very similar in some respects. But
sometimes we do, yeah.
Yeah, Adrian McNaughton in 13th position, trying to get past Mikko Jalkanen as well. Obviously, he needs to move to the field for Storm Racing to close that gap on Simic. At the moment, Simic got a big advantage in this race and in the constructors, and this is only helping them.
It is indeed, and again, it's through the fantastic and outright fast driving that you get from Videk, and then the consistent keeping out of trouble that you get from Ben Warren, who not only that, but he improves with pace every round as well. So Simic really have got their package together in terms of drivers in this second half of the season, and it is damaging Storm every single race.
Yeah, but listen to this. I might be owing you a few pounds at the end of this race. Cantona last time round 42.8, Videk 42.8, Tapper 42.6. So Tapper has got the pace of the leaders.
Yeah, well, I should have put a figure on the bet that we had.
Well, I'm glad you didn't, to be honest, because at this rate, I could be owing you a fair few pounds. Because my guy Gaia is actually down in 35th position, so he's had some massive issues this race. So I'm very sorry to Florian for ruining his race there, because I think I put the curse on him.
I've got a fight going on between Gaxella and Tapper, as though those two couldn't get any closer. They obviously thought they could.
Gaxella's got the run, but I don't think he's going to be close enough before he gets to chicane to make a move.
No. Like I said, I think Tapper just seems to have some off-corner grip advantage, and it helps him through the chicanes and some of the S's, hairpins, whatnot. His car looks much better on the exits, but the outright aggression that you get from Gaxella means through the middle of the corner, no one keeps with him.
Well, for some reason, Gaxella's now just transformed the race. I mean, there we go, 42.8 for Cantona again, 42.6 for Videk this time around, so it's down to 1.7. Tapper does a 43.0, Gaxella 42.8, so they're all very close still, but Gaxella looks the faster of the four now, because it is still a four-way fight for the lead. It's only 4 seconds between them, so, but Cantona's doing a good job at pacing himself up front. He's very consistent, so he's looking good.
Indeed,
sorry, we've just been told that McNaughton's going down the inside, and he has taken Jalkanen there for 12th position, and he needed to do that. Now he needs to get after Palm just up the road.
Yeah, and after Palm it's Warren, so that's really who he's challenging in these races.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? There's like 2 lead drivers and the 2 secondary drivers that are very close together. I think it shows parity between the two and how equal the championship is in some respects.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and once again Gaxella right up on the gearbox of Dow Tapper. So that's just going to be one of those ongoing races, and with Gaxella's aggression, he is either going to make a rash move now or a rash move later, so it's going to be one to keep your eye on.
Well, the top 10 hasn't changed too much since last time I read it out. It was Cantona and Videk, Tapper, Gaxella, Nyman and Beresford up in 6th position. That clip, Jack Nicholls, Frank Schneider and Ben Warren in the top 10, with Palm and McNaughton just outside it. The few retirements we have had, only 3 retirements so far, which is pretty amazing. That's Ron Squire, Xavier De Carvello and Tim Oliver Wagner, and that's all we've had retirements wise, so pretty good race so far between the whole field.
Has indeed, and once again the drizzle has returned to the track. It's only at 1% at the moment in terms of wetness, but it's there, it's threatening is the rain, and it goes up to 3 just as I say it.
Yeah, let's see what Tapper does now then, because the last time it did this he was very quick. The lap times dropped off slightly towards the end of that lap, not by much, but just slightly. Still 42s, but this lap now they'll be much slower, probably a good second a lap slower now, which was pretty much what it was at the beginning of the race. But let's see if Tapper can close that gap, but Gaxella looks like the one who's on the move, because he's trying to get past Tapper already in sector 1. Gaxella, will he lunge down the inside? He does, he lunges, Tapper leaves in the room. Very fair from Tapper there, and very nice move from Gaxella.
Indeed it was. Those two giving each other a good amount of respect on the track at the moment, and it looks like there is a back marker. It's Jonathan Aukerklint in between Kantonen and Videk at the moment. It looks like he might have actually held up Kantonen, because Videk appears to be visibly closer now on the track.
Yeah, Gaxella actually now, he's passed him. He did set the fastest lap of the race on the last lap of 42.5. Tapper would be sensible now to just sit with him. If he's got the pace, just sit in the slipstream, use it, and he'll pull him up to Videk, because I think Gaxella can catch Fiduk at this sort of pace, especially with the wet weather coming in. It's adding a new element to it. Cantona makes another mistake through the mid-sector, ran slightly wide onto the grass. That's going to cost him some more lap time. So if Fiduk and Cantona start battling, as Tapper laps the back marker there. But yeah, if these guys can just lap some, get some good laps in now, Tapper and Gaxella, they can close up if the leaders start battling. We've only got 6 laps left though. Oh, and Jack Nicholls is out. Jack Nicholls is out. A huge accident. Jack Nicholls is out, and Ben Warren's off the circuit as well. Massive accident in sector 2.
Palm's gone.
Yeah, Palm got, and McNaughton as well is out. Crucially, McNaughton's out. There's been a huge accident in sector 2 there. I think it started with Nicholls getting off the track, or something happened. All I saw was Nicholls with no wheels, and there were about 3 cars piled into him. So massive accident there, and it's taken out some of the championship contenders for the constructors.
I wonder if we'll be able to see any rewind of that on the broadcast. I'm not 100% sure, as we've got Simon Smith leaving the pits, presumably for a tyre change or damage.
I believe you're looking at a replay now of what's gone on, and you'll see it better than us. I haven't seen the replay yet, but you can see it was a huge accident, and you can see McNaughton gets taken out, and Ben Warren also lost his rear wing. So that's basically Storm and Simic losing 1 car in that.
Indeed it is, and you can see as well Palm coming in with no wings on his wagon and getting ready to have some serious repairs done. This is absolutely diabolical for the likes of Ben Warren, because a pit stop at this stage with so many people still running, you're just not going to be able to get yourself in the reverse grid positions, and that really does put a dampener on your race.
It's a shame that it didn't rain or something for him just then, because he could have come into the pits, put the wets on, and probably not lost too much. But Cantona's still holding his own up front. Last time round they were about a second lap slower than they were at the beginning of the race when it rained, so that's pretty much taking a second lap up, but the track is again dry now. Tapper seems to have dropped off the pace somewhat. I don't think he can keep the pace of Gaxella. Okay, yeah, it's as I thought. We just had Lewis is telling us there, as you probably saw on the replay, that Nicholls lost the car, and that caused McNaughton and so on to crash into him then, which was a big shame, but that's racing, I guess. But shame for Nicholls, because he was up there doing a good job.
Indeed it was, and there's a lot of people involved in that really, it seems a bit unfair, because they're doing having another good drive, plenty of points on the table for McNaughton as well, who was recovering from his earlier mistake. So crying shame, but it does just happen, and accidents happen, incidents happen, and particularly on the exit of the Schumacher S, you're flat out, you're struggling for front end grip. If there's someone spun in front of you, there's just nowhere to go. Well,
the top 4 cars set their fastest laps that lap, so the track is definitely in good condition now. Cantona did a 42.7, Fiduk 42.5, so 2 tenths gone of his lead, still at 1.7 though, but the danger man, 3rd position, Gaxella, 42.2. He was a good half second faster than the leader there, so he is clawing himself back up to Fiduk, and he's visibly close. You can see now he's nearly on the back of him, so he'll be getting a slipstream soon. So Cantona's not only going to feel Fiduk breathing down his neck, soon Gaxella's going to be on him. Tapper as well did a 42.5, so he was quick, but just not as quick as Gaxella in front of him, but he's still pulling himself up to the leaders.
Indeed he is, and not only that, but he shouldn't be complaining at 4th, because of course, following race, if he's in 4th, that means he's going to be starting in front of the 3 in front of him now.
Yeah, and he's got the pace to hang with them, hasn't he? So he could be a threat for race 2 as well, if he keeps it tidy in this one. And the gap still is coming down for the lead. We've only got 4 laps to go, so if Fiduk's got anything left, he's got to use it now. Same for Gaxella, and you can see Gaxella's visibly closing in. Matt Clip's also closing up on Scott Beresford for 6th position, so Scott dropped off the pace slightly the last few laps, and Matt's closing up on him pretty quickly now. The end of the top 10's changed slightly as well, obviously with that accident. We've now got Jacqueline in 9th, and Thomas Jacobs in 10th position.
Indeed, having a look as well. Couple of small changes further back, bumping people up. John Munro currently in 20th, so the final of the drivers that have that potential of getting the reverse grid, and Lewis McGladen 15th, who would definitely get it if the race were to end now.
And again, Gaxella 42.3. He was again only 2 tenths faster that time. Cantona once again stepped up his game and puts in his fastest lap of 42.5. So Cantona doing exactly what he did in France, stepping up his game when he needs to. That's excellent driving from Cantona. It really is showing a level head, and I think he's looking strong to take this race win, or the first race anyway.
Indeed he is, and it's a prime example of what you hear about in other forms of racing, which is controlling the pace. It's allowing those behind you to take snaps at your heels, but responding to each and every one of those snaps. That's what Cantona did at Manicourt. It's what he's doing again here, and it's why he's winning races.
Yeah, I think this is even more impressive than Magny-Cours, because at Magny-Cours he had about, what, 5 or 6 second gap, something like that. Here it's only 1 second, so whenever they take a tenth out of him, they could be, you know, getting the slipstream then. So he's really got to respond, and to be able to extend yourself like that is difficult. Snyder's apparently had a spin or something, so I think he's kept his position in 8th position. Yeah, he has. He's still in 8th position, so he's still okay. Beresford is now under massive pressure from Maclip for 6th position, so we need to keep an eye on that. But the other thing we need to keep an eye on, Gaxella. He's right on the back of Fiduk now, and Fiduk does not need this.
No, and judging from how they were doing their absolute best to take lumps out of each other earlier on, we could be on for a fantastic grandstand finish between the two at the end.
We could indeed, and that will only help Kantonen as well, because he can just. I mean, well, he's got this now. I mean, if he makes no mistakes or no one takes him out, he's in a pace, he's in a rhythm of his own. He's about to come across the line again. He's extended the gap to 2.2 seconds over Fiduk, who looks to be struggling, to be honest. I don't think he's comfortable with the car at this moment in time. Fiduk does a 42.3, only a tenth off the fastest lap of the race. Gaxella, listen to his last few laps: 42.2, 42.3, 42.3. So consistent at this moment.
And he didn't have his head on correctly earlier on in the race. It lost him a lot of time in track position, but he's obviously cooled off. He's got himself back going. Probably that move on Tapper as well.
Oh, and that's late defensive driving there from Fiduk. You've got to be careful doing that, Fiduk. That was very late call to come across there. I mean, Gaxella made the move late, but Fiduk, you've got to be careful there. That could have taken them both out.
Yeah, it's definitely a lunge from Gaxella, but when he started making it, there was a door open, and like you say, Fiduk just closing it off a bit abruptly. And
oh, he's got a poor run off there now. Look at that. Fiduk messes that corner up badly. This is going to let Gaxella sweep past him. Not a problem whatsoever, that, for Gaxella. He'll take that. Fiduk will try and respond on the outside. Not sure there's much he can do. He tries to squeeze Gaxella. Gaxella's having none of it and just parks his car in the middle of the apex. Great driving from Gaxella once again. Like you say, he seems to have got his head screwed on now after the early misdemeanors.
Yep, fantastic job from Gaxella. Really pulled his confidence back, pulled his pace back, and he's going to come under attack here.
Fiduk trying to go on the outside. There's going to be more contact, and Gaxella pushes him wide. Luckily, no spinning or anything like that. They have kept it on the circuit. Fiduk, now he's behind him. Can he try and respond? Well, he's got to. He's got no choice, basically. He's got to respond to Gaxella.
Yeah, this is the point in the race where he's got to get over if that car doesn't handle and get his foot down. Is he going to look to the inside here? Most likely.
Whoa,
oh, Gaxella!
He locks the rear there. He locked the diff under braking, or he locked the rear axle under braking.
The wetness went from 0 to 2% literally as they hit the braking zone, so they had a sudden sprinkling of rain on their tyres.
That was so close once again, and it's getting pretty wet now actually. So these guys, 5% wet, it's going up by the second. So yeah, we've got to watch out. And look at Tapper in the background. After all that, Tapper, who I said was out of the podium chance, he's now right on the back of them again.
Yeah, and if anything that I said previously holds any validity with this high downforce and this rain continues to fall, or maybe continues to increase even, Tapper could be on for a second place here, although all of this is just letting Canton steam off into the distance.
I think your what you said was correct, because look how much he's more confident in the corners. When you watch him on board, he's just so much more confident in the corners than Fiduk, and who we know is not that quick at the moment. But this isn't good for Fiduk, because if he finishes behind Gaxella, that's bad enough. But if he finishes 2 places behind Gaxella, which is looking ominous at this moment in time, because Tapper is all over him, and he's going to get a run now down to the hairpin. Will he lunge it down the inside? He may as well while it's wet. It's getting wetter by the second. He's got the run. Will he lunge? He makes a half-hearted attempt. Good defending from Fiduk there in some respects. Not too late defensive driving there.
Yeah, good job from Fiduk, because the wetness does keep increasing. This is the rain shower that was promised, and it looks like if it continues this way, you could be looking mid-teens. And Tapper's gone.
Tapper has gone. He could still get points. He's not damaged the car. He could still get back on your 4th position, because Nyman's quite far behind, so he should be okay for 4th if he gets up to speed quickly now. Nyman's coming, and he should be okay. Yeah, he's going to keep 4th, so Tapper hasn't lost anything there in some respects, apart from the chance of a podium maybe. One man I have noticed that's gone down the field, and that's Beresford. He's down to 12th position, and look at the rain.
13%. So this is far too late on in the race. They've got, what, 1 lap to go at the line, is it going to be?
This is the last lap. No, this is the last lap now.
No, this is the last lap.
Yeah, Kantonen wins. Kantonen takes the victory with a comfortable victory. Great driving from Kantonen. Gaxella takes 2nd and Fiduk 3rd, and that's really helped Gaxella in the championship.
Indeed, and Tapper is going to just about cruise his way through. Oh! And I think Niemanen's out of fuel. He is, so Clip's going to get him.
And can he get to the line? Will he get to the line? He's running out of speed. I don't think he's going to get to the line. Someone needs to push
back,
him.
so we've got Jacobs behind.
They're going to get him easily, but he's not going to get to the line. He's stopped. That's it. The line is literally just there. You can see the start finish line just in front of him. It's literally 10, 20 yards in front of him, and he's going to lose all that. That is appalling luck for Nyman, and a small misjudgment like that, and it's going to cost him a 6th position. That's cruel. 5th position even.
Oh, a big gaggle behind then. Hoekstra, Hackerson, Richards, Joseph, and I think, is that the last of the points? Yeah, it is. So Joseph was the last point scorer there with that little gaggle coming across the line.
Yeah, Beresford, very unfortunate. It would have been in 5th position. Yeah, 5th position after all that. And unfortunately, when it started raining, I think he spun because he did a 2:08. He lost 20 seconds on one of his laps. So he's gone down to 11th position. Still a good result in his first race, but could have been much better.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if you maybe lost it on that jump from the 7 to 13% wetness on the track, and as soon as you get into the double figures, it's such a noticeable difference with tyre grip when you're on the slicks.
Well, it's 1-0 to you in results because Tapper's in 4th position now, so that he got a better result than my previous bet. So well done on that one, Oscar. But an awesome race.
Yeah, fantastic race. And these guys really they're going at it, and we did finally get that big old battle between Gaxella and Fiduk, and we thought it was all over. We thought Fiduk had the measure of Gaxella, only for Gaxella to put in some absolutely stunning laps in the last third and come back at him.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, Gaxella really got his head down there, but Fiduk surprised me. I didn't expect him to give up that one so easily as such. He didn't really, well, I think he tried for it, obviously. He didn't look as comfortable in the wet conditions as well, which didn't help him. But yeah, Kantonen wins it, Gaxella 2nd, Fiduk 3rd, and we've got Tapper, Klipp, Jacobs, Schneider, Jakkonen, Melliam and Kirk. James Kirk rounds out the top 10 actually, so he benefited in the final few laps because he was down in 15th last time I saw him.
Indeed, and again, you can't take it away from Kirk. He's had a string of points-paying finishes now and is improving all the time. Got to hand it to him.
Yeah, he impressed me last time out, and I think he was pretty quick at Spa as well in the reverse grid, obviously. Or the mixed up grid for the second race, that is, and we could see that again this race. People like him, they get up front, get away early on, you never know, they could take a deserved victory in some respects. This next race is going to be interesting though, because we're going to have all the fast guys mid-pack pretty much.
Indeed we are, and again, as you say, with a field of this size, it really is mid-pack, dependent on just how many we do get on the reverse. And I'm going to run off to my random number generator right now. Let me just grab one up. Let's get this going. Minimum we want us. So I'm going to generate a random number now between 15 and 20, and the result is 17. So we're going to post that through to our race director now. 17th is the magic number. Can't quite remember who it was who finished in 17th last time out.
I didn't get a chance to see that far down the field actually. I think it was, in fact I'm not going to try and make a guess. Maybe Bruce or someone like that, so I guess we'll find out in a second. We could bet on it actually. Should we put a bet on who was 17th?
Well, haven't a clue.
I'm going to say Brewster.
Not sure.
Just to let people know as well, we're not actually trying to promote gambling in any way. So please, I mean that's about 5 bets since I've been in this server now. I mean I did actually, when I was doing the live stream today of my testing, I did actually have horse racing on at one point, which I think a few people are a bit confused about. They tuned in to see GPVWC and they saw me shouting at a screen with horses on it. So yeah, I really need to stop the gambling.
Still getting that out of your system from earlier in the day, are we?
Well, I didn't win anything today, so I'm trying to make up on you.
Well, there's still another race to go. With the reverse grid, of course. Always shakes things up.
Still waiting to see who was 17th in the last race. Lewis McGlade, so we were both wrong. But yeah, looking forward to race 2. The rain certainly spiced it up slightly in that race. Obviously, I did feel sorry for Beresford. I think he drove a very good race. He was definitely my man of the race, that race. He just really outdrove himself in that one.
Yeah, surprising performance. I didn't expect to see him that far up, but not only was he that far up in terms of being in 6th position, but he was holding his own there. So yeah, fantastic job, and just a shame that he made a mistake on the on the wet circuit.
But in some respects, even though he's made a mistake, he will get higher up on the second start this time. So, and we know how quick he was in race 1, so he could be one to look out for a podium in race 2. Looking further down the field as well at people like McNaughton and that. Obviously, he needs to come back in this race, but unfortunately being taken out doesn't give the opportunity for the reverse grid. There are some quick guys down the end of the field, and it'd be interesting to see. I'm trying to think of the fastest person who will be on the reverse grid, and it's. Where did McNaughton he didn't finish, did he? McNaughton didn't finish in that race, so it would be someone like Nyman or something like that. I would have thought will be the person who like. No, Nyman's did Nyman.
No. Nyman came home. Oh, of course, 28th. He ran out of fuel.
He ran out of fuel. Yeah, of course. So I mean, we're trying to work out who will be the fastest person, like on the reverse grid early on, to try and get away. Because sometimes you see the random winners because they just get away early on, and by the time the fast guys have got through, they've got a 5-6 second lead, and it's not the race isn't that long. So
potentially Franz Schneider.
Yeah, that's a good shout. He had a poor qualifying, obviously, in the race came through. I think he took 6th or 7th overall at the end, so he's definitely a good call on that one.
Indeed. So I'm not sure that wouldn't be my bet for the race win. I'm going to sound biased here. I'm going to say Tapper again.
It's a good call though, because he'd be in front this time of the guys he was behind. He was quick towards the end of the last race. He dropped off a bit in the middle. Not quite sure why though. He seemed to drop pace in the middle of the race.
Yeah, we've got a cameraman, Lewis Redshaw, saying that Kantonen's going to win it and take the double here at Nurburgring. And what would your bet be, Lou?
Well, I've failed with everything I've suggested so far. I've ruined about 5 drivers' races by supporting them in the race. So, I'm going to go with Pedro Melim.
Always a good bet. I mean, he's had good finishes in lots of race 2s this season.
Yeah, he'd probably have a disastrous one now. I've backed him, but we'll soon find out, I guess.
Well, provided Gaxella doesn't go too close to him, I'm sure we'll be fine.
Well, look at Tapper and... is that Tapper and Schneider there? Yeah, Tapper and Schneider already in the warp having a bit of a tussle there, and they got very close to taking each other out into the final chicane. So Tapper and Schneider going through dress rehearsals there for race 2. Let's hope we don't see that in the race. Quick point to that the last race. Obviously, Fidux seemed very determined to get past Gaxella early on, and there was a lot of contact between the two of them. Fidux with some questionable defending at some points, and Gaxella with some questionable, outbreaking manoeuvres. They both seemed very desperate early on to be in front of each other, and towards the end, Fidux seemed to he lost the pace. And then Gaxella just came from nowhere, like qualifying and putting us some storming laps and took that position. So, what do you think to that?
Yeah, I mean, it could be down to setup. There could just be a greater amount of tyre degradation going on for Fidux as opposed to Gaxella. But, there's no reason why they're not going to go at it hammer and tong again at the beginning of this race. The danger being that they're around the whole of the field when they do so.
Well, for Fidux now, it's becoming ever more impossible to win that championship. It's a massive gap in some respects. Even if Gaxella doesn't turn up for an entire race weekend, he would still lead the championship by a comfortable margin. So Fidux basically got to beat him every time he go out, and he's done that the last few times. But last race, Gaxella just seemed to step up and say, "No, this is my championship. I'm going to win this, and I'm going to win it comfortably." And Fidux had nothing to respond with.
Yeah. Really, really fantastic drive from Gaxella, actually. It's almost of two halves, like that first half where he was so aggressive and really didn't have his head together. He sat down in 4th for 3-4 laps, and then he just got an extra gear. He put his foot down, he got his head straight and took Tapper with ease. He got to Fidux, and again, a couple of corners of nudging each other, but then he was gone, completely gone.
Yeah, he really settled down well in that middle of the race, Gaxella. I mean, he was, like you say, a bit over the top early on. I mean, I seriously thought he was going to take Kantonen out at one point. But he made a massive mistake at turn 1, lost the rear end of the car, and somehow managed to get it stopped before making massive contact with Kantonen. So, I mean, fair enough, fair play, skill, to keep it under control. I just want to change my bet for race 2, actually, if that's possible. I want to change it to...
Yes, but there's a fee.
There is a fee. Well, unfortunately, you've skimped me so far anyway, so I've got nothing to pay that fee with, but I'm going to change it to Scott Beresford. I actually forgot about him. He will be up front this race, won't he?
He will. He'll be, if he finished 11th, that's going to put him 6th on
Yeah,
the
and he's
grid for
quick.
this one.
He was quick last race. When the rain came down, I think he was slightly caught out. Maybe he's never driven in the wet before.
He's done a couple of races in the wet in World Sports Series, but I believe it's only going to be his first round, potentially his second round. I'm not 100% sure of Formula Challenge, so potentially all just a bit new to him.
See, I've not actually seen him racing anything else, so that's fair play. So at least he has some experience. But it looks like it's going to be a similar race, to be honest, with the weather, because even in warm now it's slightly damp. You know, there's moisture in the air, so I think we're going to get the same sort of race in race 2.
You know, of course, we've seen it in a couple of the sessions where they get a properly wet track from the start. We've seen in excess of 80% online wetness. You can't count out that being being the conditions that they have to drive in.
Yeah, the last test for the Super League at Zandvoort was very wet, and to be honest, it's nice when it's about, say, 20%, something like that, 15-20%. When it's 100% wet, like it was at Zandvoort test, I'll be honest, I didn't enjoy it, because there's nothing you can do with the car. You know, you can't throw it around or anything. You just got to basically, I mean, it's certainly like real life, obviously. You just got to basically coast round. Can't be aggressive or anything like that. So at 15-20%, I think a driver can make a difference in the wet. But at 100%, I don't know. Maybe in the race it'd be different, obviously, rather than testing, because testing you're just driving around on your own anyway. The race, I've never seen a 100% wet race, I don't think.
It got to 100% wet for Formula Challenge Race 2 at Malaysia.
I think I did the broadcast on that one. I didn't recall it getting that wet, but I could be wrong. I can't remember that one fully.
I was in the race, not upside down in that race, I might add, so definitely had a better second drive out in FC.
Maybe I didn't have the plug-in back then. I don't think I had the plug-in enabled back then when I was watching the broadcast, so I couldn't actually see how wet it was. I do remember it being wet though, so...
Indeed, but like you say, it certainly takes away after a certain point. You see like you say, between 20 and I'd say maybe 60% when the wet tyres are really effective and make that difference, and that's when the drivers who control the car's throttle a bit better and things such as that really do shine. But you throw it up to 100% and it's just damage limitation. You've got to creep round and hope you don't fly off the track out complaining.
Yeah, it's almost like it levels everyone out. It's just, you know, just coasting around the circuit. I mean, Zandvoort, it was like, oh yeah, I just couldn't wait for it to end, because it was, I mean, on my own, I mean, like I say, in the race, it'd probably be different, because in the race, obviously, there's more cars about, you're battling with people, stuff like that, but when you're on your own, it was just so, you know, demoralising to drive around.
Yeah, I saw in the 100% as well, myself, you, Rude, when it was 100% wet, the difference in times was just marginal, a tenth or two here or there when we were doing full 100% wetness laps, and it does take away after a certain point, and the weather shouldn't do that today, and it's unlikely to ever do that really, but you know, there's definitely not off the cards that you're going to see a very, very wet race here, because we have seen it in other official sessions going on so far over this race evening.
Yeah, I mean, the last session we had 80-odd%, we've only got 2% at the moment, but I mean, I think it's just going to be a mixed-up race. Oh, and then suddenly it jumps to a 5% and it's getting wetter by the second, so we could have a very wet race, who knows. But only 9 seconds to go now, and we're advancing to the next race. And the Positive Sim Racing take a 1-2 in warm-up, Fran Lopez and Carlos Lopez. So perhaps they've found something for race 2.
Indeed, well, Fran has been a quick driver. I've not seen Carlos about, but Fran Lopez has been good in all of the stuff I've seen him drive so far, so I'm not sure how he was affected by the reverse grid, but if he's at the front, he may well be one to watch.
Attention grid, will all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
There we go.
8% wetness. Oh no, 0.
And there we go, there's the reverse grid, so shall we do the opposite this time?
We can indeed. You can do the first 20.
Yes, so you can do the hard work this time. So it's Lewis McGlade on pole position for race 2 on the reverse grid. He was the lucky number in number 17. Jeff Cable starts second from Paul Joseph in third. Matt Richards and Ben Hackerson, who we saw get taken out in race 1. Wupke Hoekstra, Scott Beresford, my tip for race 2, or my second tip for race 2 that is. James Kirk in 8th position as well. He finished in the top 10 last race, doing a good job. Pedro Mel in 9th and Mikko Jakinen in 10th position. Brent Schneider, I believe that's your tip for race 2. Thomas Jacobs, Matt Clip and Dewey Tapper That's 14th. David Fiddick, Emmanuel Gexeller and Oskari Cantonen, the 3 fastest men, or should I say the 4 fastest men from race 1. And we've got John Monroe, Tadao Pangev and Chris Williamson rounding out the top 20.
In 21st, your man from race 1 didn't have too much luck, Florian Gaia, so actually he did a good job to get back to there. Bran Lopez is listed as starting in 22nd, with Ben Warren behind in 23rd. Martin Palm is starting 24th for Kajala Racing, with Mike Bell 25th. Daniel Leake is in 26th for Wowsers Automotive, with Davey Benham just behind in 27th. Ari Niemanen is in 28th after running out of fuel in race 1 whilst running around in 5th position. Ollie Woods for Velocity is starting 29th, with Victor Silva behind him in 30th. Simon Smith is starting 31st for Backmarker Brigade, with Jonathan Orklint for Optimum Sim Racing just behind in 32nd. Cameron Brewster is 33rd, with Floria Callin in 34th. Hansco Mebius for WCS Racing is in 35th, with Carlos Lopez just behind him, the second of the Lopez brothers. Adrian McNaughton is starting 37th after a disappointing end to his first race for Storm Racing Team, with Jack Nichols the cause of that disappointing end, starting in 38th. Riku Sarpia for Majuric Racing is starting in 39th, with Tim Oliver Wagner starting in 40th. Xavier De Carvalho is starting 41st with the other Majuric Racing car, with Scott Woodward starting 42nd. And that rounds out the drivers and runners for this second race here at the Nurburgring.
Yeah, McGlade. Sorry, go on, Oscar.
No.
I was saying McGlade needs to slow the field down, which he now has done, because there's massive gaps throughout the field. I mean, McGlade's coming around the final few corners, and we've got the guy in 40, that's Cavallo, he's just coming through the middle sector, so we've got quite a field spread at the moment. McGlade now has slowed the field down, give him all a chance to catch up. He went at full racing speed on the outlap basically, so his tyres will be nice and warm when he gets to the grid, but not by the time everyone else does.
Yeah, it'll be nice and cold by the time he gets going. It'll be interesting to see how he does from the front though. First pole position, I believe, for Lewis McGlade.
Yeah, I probably agree with that one. I haven't seen him up on pole position myself. Paul Joseph as well, he's usually quick, so it'd be nice to see what he can do in this race too for Royal Blue Racing. And then obviously Hackerson was up there in race 1, towards the bottom end of the top 10 sort of thing. Beresford are going to keep an eye on him. And obviously Melim, another quick guy. But we've got to watch out for our fastest guys, haven't we? Fidek, Gexeller and Cantonen, and your man Tapper as well.
Indeed, I was gonna say Tapper was my eventual bet for race 2. I mean, Franz is good, but I'm not seeing him winning it.
Could be an outside shot for a good result though. It depends on what happens up front and what happens to the fastest guys, because they will come through the field, they always do. So, and I believe the red lights are on.
They are indeed. Coming on now, all 3 red lights on. There is the green light, and there's actually a jump start from McGlade, I think. McGlade must have jumped that start. And a big crash behind. I think that's Beresford gone.
Yeah, it looks like I've jinxed someone else. And it is a drive-through for McGlade. That was a jump start, unfortunately, for him. And is there a big carnage in turn 1?
Absolute carnage in turn 1.
Yeah, that's going to be a restart for sure. It's got to be. There's cars everywhere.
It's dependent on the number of retirees before the end of the first lap, and they're still taking each other out left, right and centre.
That's Sarpilla and Mebius, they're making contact. There's cars without wings, cars without front wings, cars without wheels. Beresford down to 37th, so that's my tip gone, but up front it is McGlade, who's got a drive-through, so he's not the eventual race leader. It's actually Matt Richards in 2nd position, Jeff Cable from Pedro Melim in 4th position, and your man Schneider, our man Schneider, let's say, Jacker in 6th, Hoekstra, Tapper up to 8th already. He's done a great start. Cantonen just behind him as well. Where's Gexeller and Fiddick? Just behind you, 11th and 12th. So clean start for the championship contenders as Gexeller launches down the inside of Hackerson and takes the position for 10th.
Indeed, and Tapper just holding on from Hoekstra as well, right behind his teammate Yakonen.
And look at this gaggle. Look at this gaggle. We've got Jacker and Tapper, Hoekstra and Cantonen coming down the inside now. Cantonen's going to take 2 cars. Is he? No, he takes the 1. Does he? Just about. That's in front. That's Jacker and going wide, and that's blocked in Cantonen, and that's Hoekstra trying to take back the position. Cantonen up to 8th position, so a good start for Cantonen.
Indeed, looking around, 4 retirees so far, I think, so we're not going to get the red flag fall on the race.
It's a shame in some respects for us because it's really split up the field a lot, and as Hackerson makes contact with Hoekstra in P11, but and who was that off? That was Tapper off. Dewey Tapper's off in 13th position, dropping down the field. That's a shame for him, and the track is completely dry, so there's no excuses there for a wet track, as McGlade does go into the pits and serve his drive through. That puts Matt Richards into the lead for Team Roxal. But Melliman's going to take it away.
Just being informed that Tapper just made a driving error there. Matt Richards coming under increasing pressure from the likes of Mellim and Schneider. And Mellim and Schneider, if they are hoping to take wins or podiums in this race, they need to get going real quick, because Kantonen just a few places behind, getting ready to pounce and maybe take the double here.
Yeah, at the end of lap 1 he led 10 places, that's insane. So, but you can see Gaxella and Fidek just behind, and Gaxella making a desperate lunge there on Jacqueline, and it works out just. Jacqueline was very fair, and Fidek follows him through into 7th position. So, and who was that? That's Cantona getting sideways there in the distance, but Gaxella and Fidek trying to make the most of this opening lap, because the second lap, sorry, because they can see Cantona's making so much progress in front, and they've got to get after him if they want to win this second race.
Indeed, and Cantonen just puts Cable in between himself and the other front runners from race 1.
Oh, and that's Cable there getting very sideways through the fast chicane, and that's giving Fidek the opportunity to get past, and he does into 5th position. Gaxella's they swap positions. Fidek was Gaxella's now behind Fidek. I'm sure he was in front just a second ago.
Yeah, Gaxella got caught out, checked up a bit by Cable going through the Schumacher S's.
And this leaves now Cantonen open to attack from behind, but up front it's Franz Schneider trying to get past Pedro Melli. Matt Richards still leads, so Matt Richards leads the first 2 laps of the GPVWC Formula Challenge event at Nurburgring, and he's done a good job up front so far. He's kept it nice and clean, and he's leading the race, but he's got the fast guys bearing down on him pretty quick.
Indeed he does, as Hoekstra looks like he's making a move on Cable, coming down the front straight now with Clip just behind him. We saw from race 1, Clip's a fast driver, and they're going to make it 3 wide going down towards turn 1. Who's going to come out on top of this? I think it's going to be Clip who gets the better of the braking, as Yukonen gives Hoekstra a tap up the backside to move him past Cable.
Yeah, he takes 2 cars in one there. Jacqueline and Haxon very, very close to each other, but Clip took 2 cars in one manoeuvre there, so very good driving from Matt Clip. He had a good result in race 1, I believe he was 5th position. So good result for Matt Clip in race 1. He's up to 7th in race 2 and looking pretty good with it as well.
Oh, and Cable's gone! As has who's that?
Well.
McNaughton's been taken out again. Hackerson's
Hackerson
involved. Palms had his front wing taken off. Another big incident due to a spinner, and that was Cable getting it all wrong on one of the exit curbs, I believe, of turn 4.
Yeah, and that promotes now Cantona up to 3rd position. He's right behind the leaders, so if he can get past these pretty quickly now, as Mellim and Richards are battling. Richards is very wide through there, that's going to be close to a crash, and Richards is off the circuit, and that allows Mellim into the lead. And if Cantona can get into the lead pretty quickly, he can make a big gap to Fidek and Gaxella early on.
Yeah, that's what he's going to be looking to do. I mean, we saw last time, give Cantona a gap and you just won't be pulling it back quickly enough, so...
He's got the run as well now on Richards. Richards made a slight mistake there coming onto the back straight, and he hasn't got the top speed to defend his position. So Richards, after 2 solid first laps, a few mistakes in this lap. Ooh, and he brakes very late for that. Makes slight contact with Cantona's rear end. As Schneider as well trying to get past now in the background, and Fidek trying to make a move with Gaxella just on the back of them. So a 4-way scrap for four-way scrap for second now.
Indeed it is. Cantonen already on the back of Mellim. You cannot detract from this guy's pace. Now Mellim going defensive. This is what Mellim's good at when he's got a cool head on him. He is a fantastic defensive driver, but that straight line speed from Cantonen, ooh yeah, far too much from Mellim, who outbrakes himself massively. He's going to lose a bundle of positions here. Schneider, Richards, not quite Fidek, and Gaxella's going to pounce there, take them both. So the Multi-21, the sister car to the Simic car, holding him up and giving Gaxella the position.
This is going in tears, all making contact with each other as Gaxella launches it with the inside of Richards. Richards defends on the outside, gets the position back. Fidek's down to 6th position in all that, where he gets past Mellim now. He just seems to be giving up his position. I don't think he's actually fighting for these. He seemed to ease off on the main straight as well and just let Cantona get past. But look at Fidek and Gaxella, they're desperately trying to get past these cars and each other. Oh, there's contact there. I thought they were going to be off the track again. That's giving Mellim the run back. But they're definitely trying to get after Cantona, because Cantona's now in the lead and he'll just streak away up front.
Indeed, it's what we saw him do in race 1, and I can fully see that happening once again here in race 2.
It's looking that way, isn't it? I mean, he's in front now. He's got 4 cars between himself and Fidek, who wasn't as quick as him in race 1 anyway overall. I think Gaxella's the only man who could challenge Cantonen, as Fidek looks to make a move on Richards, who brakes very late, and that's going to run him slightly wide. Fidek gets through. Will Richards look at the inside again? He does, but thinks better of it in the later stages. And Gaxella will now have a run down the back straight, but Richards looks very quick in a straight line, so I don't think it's going to be easy for Gaxella.
No, and quite right too. I mean, when you've got the reverse grid, you've got to make the most of it. Richards currently driving defensively and, you know, running well with these top guys, and Gaxella goes way wrong there, locks up the rears, and
once again,
that's going to allow Mellem through.
As soon as he gets in the pack, he makes mistakes. When he's up front or when he gets into a rhythm, he's fine, but as soon as he's in this pack having to race for his position, he's making more mistakes than the other two guys who have been racing with him. And he's in there, that was a classic case. It was like a half-hearted look upside Richards there, and he just decided to get out of it at the last minute and lost the rear end. So Gaxella just needs to settle everything down, get into his rhythm, and he'll be fine.
He does, but he really can't afford to have these 50-50 races where he's, you know, clattering about, clutching at straws for the first half of the race, and by the time he gets his act together, everyone who's battling has run off into the distance.
Tapper's done a good job to recover as well. He's back up to 9th position, showing great pace. So Tapper's done a good job there. He's only 9 seconds off the lead still. So he's actually done a really good job there, trying to get back up to the leaders after that spin early on. So he could still be an outside bet for a podium.
And Gaxella and Mellem make contact again. These two, tainted history to say the least. Gaxella pushing Mellem a bit there to get the move done, but the move itself was done without too much hassle, and they're both moving along now. Gaxella looking to the outside of Richards, and down comes the rain at 2% wetness. Richards not having any of it. Is he going to push him wide? Yes, he is. Richards giving no room to Gaxella.
That was slightly naughty from Richards there. I don't know if he did that intentionally or what, but he's off the track now anyway, so it matters very little. He regains his position, and Mellem streaks past as well. That was slightly naughty from Richards there. He just purposely drove Gaxella off the circuit. He was fully alongside him, was Gaxella, so yeah, got to be careful there. But Cantonen isn't getting away too much up front. He's only 2 seconds down the road. Fidek's now on the back of Schneider, who's doing a great job in second position actually. He's actually very good pace, as you suggested he might have, as he's about to lap one of the back markers there, which makes it very difficult actually for the leaders to get past, and that's giving Fidek a run.
Oh, and Schneider's gone!
Yeah, that was the back marker that pretty much caused that. The back marker gave him no room whatsoever in the braking zone, and Schneider had to run offline, and that basically gave Fidek the run.
Yeah, that was an awkward length of Optimum Sim Racing getting in the way, and this time the wetness not hanging around, already up to 5% as the rain has started to fall over the past lap.
Mellem on the back. Oh, that's the back marker. Sorry, I thought that was Gaxella for a second then. But that's closed the field once again. Cantonen's got a 4.5 second lead now, so if he just keeps it steady, as long as it doesn't rain too much and they have to go into the wet. So Fidek makes a big mistake in the wet. That's going to give Gaxella the run.
10% wetness is climbing.
Yeah, Fidek struggled last time in the wet, and he's struggling again because look how quick Gaxella's got to the back of him. He was 3 seconds behind him when they crossed the line, I believe, and look at this now. He's right on the back. In fact, he's got the run now. And Fidek's realising this and having to defend pretty hard now. That's aggressive from Fidek, marginally fair. Got to be careful because he was questionable last time with his defending. Gaxella will try and get the run off the corner. He goes for the wide apex, gets the cut back, and he'll have to run down now into the hairpin. Fidek goes to the inside immediately to defend. Will Gaxella launch it down the outside? It's going to be risky in these wet conditions offline. Oh, a slight contact there in the braking zone.
Indeed, Tapper's moving himself up another couple of positions and looking at a different league now the rain is coming down.
Yeah, he is. He's up in 8th position. He's right on the back now. He can see 4th place, and Fidek and Gaxella getting very close there through chicane. But look at Matt Clip, 5th position. Another great race. He's about to take 4th from Mellem. Gap is now 6.1 seconds, to Fidek from Cantonen, so this battling isn't helping Fidek or Gaxella.
Indeed, Cantonen, he's got half the back straight in hand already, so fantastic first few laps from him as the rain recedes ever so slightly back down to 11% offline, 9 off.
Yeah, 7 seconds now. He's pulling in 1 second per sector at this moment in time. Let's see what it is when he crosses the line in a second. Fidek runs slightly wide for the chicane. This gives Gaxella a chance to close it once again, but this is great. 2 races in a row. We've seen our 2 championship rivals side by side battling. As Clip goes up the inside into 4th position to the final corner. Great drive from Matt Clip. Can he hold that position down the main straight? They're side by side. And I think Clip will have it into turn when he's got the top line street and he's got the inside line, so he should be okay. Hoekstra in the background looking to pick up the pieces from this. Hoekstra as well doing a good job.
There's been a pass then for second position. Gaxella's made the move on Fidek, being informed that was just a mistake. Probably a lock-up going into turn 1 with the wetness as it is.
Yeah, that's not what Fidek needs, and if he's got anything left now, if he's got any desire to win this championship, he's got to get after Gaxella now, and he's got to beat him in this race. He can't let Gaxella stream off into the distance because, well, Gaxella's just taken 6/10 out of the leader in that first sector. So, Gaxella's still not giving up on this race win. The wet conditions really suiting Gaxella a lot, and he does look like he has actually got more high downforce than some of the other cars as well.
Indeed, not something you frequently see from Gaxella, but obviously that's what he's chosen to run today. And I've also just seen Tapper make a move on Richards further back, and Schneider's onto them both as well. So interesting to see how this is going. Tapper still on his furious fight back through the field. Up next is Hoekstra, in front of which is Mellim. And it looks as though Clip might just be starting to pull a gap.
Well, Schneider was right up in second position, wasn't he, early on, until he had that little misjudgment with the back marker. So he's got pace, we know that, but he's really struggling to get past Richards. In fact, I think the whole field struggled to get past Richards. Richards done a decent job defending. Some questionable moves, but a good job defending. But Schneider's got the run now, but we've seen how quick Richards is in a straight line. Schneider's got the inside now for the chicane. Will Richards make the switch back? Richards can brake very late, we've seen that, and he brakes very late again, makes contact with Schneider's rear end. Just about get through the corner okay, but that's pushed Schneider once again off the line. Look at that, he pushed him off line completely there, and an angry Schneider comes back across. And Richards, you've got to be careful, you've got to see that position. You pushed him off the track there, Richards. Some questionable defending here, and Schneider's got every right to be angry at this moment in time. I think he'll be fuming inside that car. Let's see what happens now to turn one. Schneider's got the position. Will Richards cede this time and just say, okay, after you? No, he won't. He's trying again. And he's got the
Schneider
position
makes
back.
a mistake.
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. And a big battle for fifth position between Tapper, Mellim and Hoekstra as well.
And Tapper's just got past Hoekstra going down into turn one. It looks like he's about to do the same to Mellim.
Yeah, Schneider and Richards still going at it as well, but Schneider's got the move stick now. He's in 8th position. He's got the move stick now. Go France. You've got to get after 7th position in front, because these guys are going hell for leather battling as well. Mellim on the inside of, that's Dewey. Tapper trying to get past Mellim. He's going to have to run off the corner. He's going to have the momentum, and he does take the position. He sticks to the middle of the track. He should be able to hold this position into the hairpin, and he does indeed. And Hoekstra looking to make a move on Mellim now, and they make slight contact into the corner. This is great racing from the entire field.
Yeah, you've all got gaggles going on, and they're close contact here and there, really racing away. And it looks like the rain is starting to recede properly now. Wetness on line down to 3% after having been at 12 just a few laps earlier.
Mellim on Tapper and the
Mellim!
Mellim, that was poor driving from Pedro Mellim there. He just took them clean both out of the race, made no attempt to make the corner whatsoever. He just slammed into the side of Tapper, took them both out. I'd be fuming again if I was Tapper there. He's still in 10th position, amazingly, but and Mellim lets him pass. But look at Tapper, goes across the track and says, "What the hell were you doing, my friend?" Because that was outrageous driving. Yeah. Although to be fair though, it is wet conditions, so.
Yeah, well, still chronic misjudgment there. I mean,
yeah,
these guys should know that it's going to be a bit wetter offline than on, and you just cannot go making dives like that.
I think he went into the corner, you know, thinking it was a dry line, let's say, and all of a sudden realised it was wet, tried to lock up the brakes to stop himself, but then, as you know, in the wet, the brakes just slide across the surface. When you lock the wheel, it just slides across the surface. That's exactly what happened to him. So, Tapper back up to 7th though already, so he's recovering pretty well from these setbacks.
He is indeed. Certainly not going his way this race, and we'll just have to see how he does. He's going to get right back on the pace now and hopefully close himself up to Franz Schneider.
Yeah, Hoekstra up in 5th position. I've got to shout out to him as well, doing a good job. Matt Clipp in a safe 4th position now, so if Matt just keeps it going, he's going to bring it home in 4th. Maybe even a podium if one of the guys in front has some issues. The gap, once again, Cantona lost a few seconds in the last few laps, but then he stabilised it. He says, "No, you're not catching me at a second a lap anymore. This is my victory." He's going to try and win both races and do the double. And who's to bet against him at this moment in time, because he's stabilised the gap to Gaxella, and if anything, Friedrich's catching Gaxella again.
Yeah, it looks like Friedrich is trying to stage some form of comeback at the moment. I'm not sure how successful he'll be in that conquest, but definitely one to watch.
Yeah, the bit when it's wet, if you get a chance next time, if it does rain, watch the cars through the fast left-right chicane at the top of the hill. They're basically trying to take it flat out in the wet, and it's like the back end's just stepping out ever so slightly through the middle of the chicane. And it looks absolutely awesome. You can see the guys are absolutely on the limit, you know, just trying to get every last bit of lap time out of the car. So if we get a chance, we need to look at that again if it starts raining again quite heavily. Cantona goes across the line. He does a 1:44.5, Gaxella behind 1:43.6, so his seconds disappeared on that lap, and Friedrich also 43.5. So Friedrich was actually the fastest of the top 3 that time round. Matt Clipp 45.6, so he's a good couple of seconds off the leader's pace. But Cantona lost a second that lap, so he's got to be careful.
Yeah, but even if he lost a second a lap from now on, he would maintain a half a second advantage come the end of the race.
Indeed, but
oh, and the wetness is going back up.
It is indeed. Don't also forget though, as well, as I'm sure you know, Oscar, when someone's closing you down at a second a lap, it's very hard then to keep in a rhythm, to keep to think what's wrong with me, why am I lapping so slow, and that's when the good drivers show. If they look at lose a second a lap but still win the race, even though they're being caught at a second a lap, not make any mistakes and give them an extra second to catch up, that's the hard bit then.
Indeed, as the wetness now climbs to 7%, keeping my eyes peeled for spinners here and there.
Yeah, keep an eye on that chicane now when the leaders come through. You've got Gaxella and Fiddick now. I think we're looking at him now, and you can see Gaxella not quite full throttle, but look at Fiddick, he's really using the curbs, fully aggressive. So, and that's Matt Clip coming through now. Again, trying to take as much full throttle as he can through there. Really good to watch the cars through there. Schneider coming through. Again, using all, and look at the back end squirming as they go through. Really good to watch the cars through that chicane in the wet.
Indeed it is, and these FC cars are just fantastic when you get these damn conditions. Because of the low power, it does make them a little bit more controllable. Walker Klimt once again getting lapped by Tapper, who looks as though he's managed to make his way back past Hoekstra and is now hunting down Franz once again.
Yeah, I want to see the lap times this time around because I've just seen Cantona make a mistake. 45.4, obviously it's slightly wetter, so that's fair enough. 45.4 equals a 44.2, so another second gone that lap. It's now 4.2 seconds to Cantonen from Gaxella. Cantonen made a mistake in that final section. I did watch that. 44.8 for Fiduk, so he wasn't as quick as Gaxella.
When we've got Chris Williamson having an off, and Hackerson's followed him. Beresford also crawling around towards the rear of the pack. Yeah, just the wetness catching out a few drivers, as was to be expected.
This is the key now. Look at Cantonen. He's got 3 cars in front of him, back markers. Now, the first one moves out the way pretty fairly. Who was that? That was Paul Joseph, so fair play to Paul for moving out the way there for the leader. But this is where Gaxella can make the time up. He's already gained 3 or 4 tenths in the first sector. So if you can keep that second lap coming with the traffic as well, that's going to help Gaxella no end. But don't forget, Gaxella's got to pass these guys as well. But you never know. I mean, Cantona's going to catch these in a pretty difficult place because through the chicane, as it rains heavily through the chicane there, just look at that, he was offline there quite a lot. Gaxella goes through with a more tighter line, but Cantona's got back markers to lap. Will he get some assistance from Carvalho? Not too much, he wasn't too helpful there, was Carvalho. And then Simon Smith in front, usually always very fair. Let's see if he's fair on the back straight this time. Will he just let Cantonen through? Before they get to the braking zone, that'd be the optimum thing for Simon Smith to do, is to just let him go. And Simon Smith, ever the gentleman, pulls to the inside, lets Cantonen have the racing line, and nearly outbrakes himself and smashes him off, but does a great job there to let the leader past.
Yeah, Simon Smith, ever an example of what gentlemanly racing is, never getting in the way of those that he's not driving against, but, you know, more than happy to give it a go and start blocking if you are racing him, so, yeah, always nice to see.
And as fair as the back markers were to Cantonen there, again, 45.9 for Cantonen, 44.8, another second's gone out of it. We've got 4 laps left and the gap is 3 seconds, and it's coming down to a second lap as Simon Smith spins into turn 1, and you see that's the way it's helped Gaxella now, because that's one of them back markers out of the way. As long as Joseph and Carvalho in front don't have any contact or misjudgments, Gaxella will gain out of this, I think, but he's caught him at a difficult spot though, look at that.
Yeah, nothing really Joseph could do at that point. This is a single file, yeah,
about the
not
best
ideal.
He could do. It's about the best he could do, like you say. It was a difficult position. Now Carvalho's even an even more difficult position because you've got a fast left-hander. You commit to this at very high speed, not so much in the wet, so it's slightly better. Now Carvalho just pulled to the outside, or no, he didn't. He decides to let him bound the straight. That's fair play, but he's still gained Gaxella through that. He's still gained a good half second through all that, I reckon, at least. And
yeah.
Cantonen again in more traffic.
Yeah, behind Davy Benham now.
Who moves aside, so that's nice driving from Benham there. Fiduk seems out of the fight for the lead. He's lapping faster than the leaders still, but I think he's yet to approach the traffic, which he's doing now, so I expect him to lose
He's
time
had
this
much
lap.
better luck with the traffic so far.
Oh, Carvalho!
Oh, Carvalho! Come on!
That's twice into that chicane. He's not been very helpful. He tried to move to the inside, but Fiduk was also going to the inside. It's slightly unfortunate for Carvalho there, but he needs to just move offline earlier and get out of the way early. Make your move early.
It's with a back marker. It's not about you have to do this or you have to do that. Whatever you do, be clear about it. That's
exactly,
the key.
yeah.
And
That's
there he
spot
wasn't.
on.
He just moved all over the shop.
Yeah, that's exactly spot on. You've been in positions, we've both been in positions where we're going to win races or whatever, and you know what it's like when you're driving. What I always try and say to back markers is, or if people always say, oh, how do you lap people, as Fiduk gets very close to Benham there for holding him up. But I always say is, imagine if you're in the lead, what would you want the guy in front to do? Wanting to make a decision early and say, okay, you go here, not sort of have you guessing before you get to the braking zone.
Well, I'd much prefer that they either move right over or continue on the racing line, because with those two options, one, I don't have to deviate, and the other one, at least you are saying that that responsibility is on me, and it's the same for these drivers. If the back marker makes it clear that they want you to be responsible for the pass, that is okay, because it's clear as to where you can go. It's when they're sort of somewhere in the middle of those two decisions that accidents happen.
It is, and the worst thing any backmarker can do, if you are listening, you're after some advice and tips, and I'm not saying I'm an expert or we are experts or anything, but the best thing anyone can do is not to brake in an acceleration zone to try and let the leader past. It's the worst thing you can do. The best place to let the leaders through is on the main straight or on the outside of a corner. Just pull to the outside, let the leaders pass, show clearly what you're going to do. Do not ease off in the acceleration zones. It's the worst thing possible anyone can do, because it just causes big accidents.
Indeed. Ooh. Incidents further back, hearing that McNaughton... Oh no, not an incident, he's trying to overtake Matt Richards. Fantastic recovery from McNaughton then to be this far up as the rain starts once again.
Yeah, I was just about to say, actually, Cantonen did respond last time around. We had 44.2 when it dried up slightly. The track did dry slightly. Now it's wet again. Gaxella's taken more time out for that middle sector. The gap's now 2.3. But Cantonen coming around the final corner. Let's check the lap times. Last time around, 44.2 on a dry-ish track. This time by it is a 43.3. Gaxella responds with a 42.5, the fastest lap of the race for him, and he's now 2.5 seconds behind. Problem is he's only got 2 laps left, so he's got to really go at it if he wants to win this.
Indeed, in the wetness again, it's climbing. It did this at the end of the previous race, where it climbed and climbed and climbed towards the last lap or two, and we've actually seen that, like you say, the gap closes much quicker when it's wet for Cantonen. It's as though he's struggling with these conditions, and we've seen his top speed. And top speed in the FC car comes from nothing minus low wings, because the cars are so underpowered and so equal.
The main thing for Cantonen now, though, he's got a lot of lap time in front of him before he catches another car, so basically it's down to him now. If he wins this race, it's down to Cantonen. Gaxella's behind charging. He's going to extend his championship lead whatever happens in this, as long as there's no contact or mistakes. Fiduk's out of it in 3rd position. He hasn't got the pace to run with the leaders. So Tapper back up to 4th position. Awesome job from Dewey Tapper after all the issues he's had. In fact, he's been lapping faster than the leaders majority of the time, so he could have won this second race if he hadn't have had the issues with the guys early on. Matt Clip in 5th doing an awesome job. Branch Schneider as well, so Schneider and Tapper deserve a pat on the back after this one, because they've really come back through after the issues early on.
Indeed they have, and Florian Geyer as well up in the points, doing a good job.
Yeah, definitely. Some good recovery drives in this. Obviously the wet conditions mixing it up again, but the gap has come down to the lead. I don't think it's going to be enough though for he's going to ace the chicane as he does again. And Tonen this time round, I expect him to be significantly slower. Cantonen comes across the line. We'll just check lap times because we're going to the last lap now, and it's a 1:44.6. That's a pretty slow lap time compared to a 44.1. So obviously the rain coming down quite a lot, and he only lost half a second on that lap. So Cantonen looking pretty safe actually.
Yeah, not quite going to be enough, although one battle to watch would be Franz Schneider on Matt Clip. Schneider seemingly the quicker of the pair at the moment. As I say that, he goes right out off over the Astro.
Yeah, good result. I mean, both of them drove very well. Matt Clips drove a solid race, very consistent, not any mistakes, 45, 46s every lap. So consistent from him. I think Cantonen's got this one now, unless he makes any mistakes in his middle sector, but he's been looking pretty solid so far. It's always the hardest for the leader to do this as well, as you know. Every time he approaches a corner and it changes, he's the first one to to see it.
Indeed, as McNaughton just made a move on Yukonen going into turn 1 to move himself up another spot. Again, McNaughton's had surprisingly good pace today and just not maybe as much luck as he would have liked.
Yeah, I mean, he was taken out at the beginning of this race again, he was taken out last race. I mean, thing is though, he's still going to score points. I mean, where's Ben Warren in this race? That's the main thing. I think Ben Warren's further down, isn't he?
And Ben Warren nowhere, 26th.
26, so that's no points for Ben Warren. So Storm is going to get some more points on the Simic guys today. Quite a few more points actually, because David Fiddick's only up in 3rd position. Cantonen coming down the final straight now though. The gap is 1.8 seconds, so it's looking pretty safe for Cantonen. Bit of traffic in front, shouldn't be too much of an issue. It's Bell who gets out of the way nicely for the leaders. And I'll let you take him across the line this time, Oscar.
Indeed, so dominant couple of races here for Ascari Cantonen of Adonis Engineering. He's going to come through the final corner, stroll across the line, right the way from 17th on the grid. He takes the double here at the Nurburgring. Gaxella, fantastic job to come home in second. With Fiduk, it looks like he's run out of fuel or something. coasting across the line in third.
Clip and Schneider very close for 5th position. Clip had to go defensive into the final chicane. Schneider, will he try a lunge in the final corner, or will he try and get the cut back? No, he's not going to do it. Clip takes an awesome 5th position. Very well done to Matt Clip. He'd be delighted with that. I think that's 2 5th places for Matt Clip, actually. Awesome job. Melliam and Hoekstra coming around the final corner. Oh, this is going to be close. Melliam's got to run off the corner. This is going to be close. I think he's just going to keep it though. Is he Hoekstra? Yes, he does. Just keeps it. Just keeps it. So great racing.
Oh, McNaughton on Richards, and Richards is going to hold that one from McNaughton.
Gaia and Jack are very close.
Gaia. Jacobs is currently running around in 13th. I believe Cameron Brewster, his teammate, right behind him there in 14th. Final point score. Victor Silver of WCS Racing, that beautiful pink car, grabbing a point in the second race of the day.
Beresford nips up to 20th position there because Lopez and Carlin take themselves out in the final chicane. Beresford nips through to 20th position. Our pole man Lewis McGlade 18th, as you say, it's a disappointing race for him. Matt Richards did a decent job, sustained to 9th position. He was running the lead for most of the race. Some questionable defensive manoeuvres, but he's finished the race in 9th position, so a good race for him.
Yeah, I mean, plenty of standout stories in those 2 races, really. People doing good jobs, some questionable moves and mistakes. I mean, we saw that big one from Pedro Mellin that took out Tapper. But fortunately, Tapper's been on form. He's had to recover from something or other, I think, in both the races, and he's done fantastic jobs of that.
I mean, we have got to remember as well, this is Formula Challenge. This is a league where we shouldn't be too critical, I guess. I mean, I was being a bit harsh on some of the drivers there, I guess, but it's just a learning league at the end of the day. So, you know, mistakes do happen, and it's a place to come and learn and hone your driving skills. So, you know, fair play to everyone for giving it a go.
It is indeed. So just quickly before we get swamped with interviewees, I'm going to run you through the points finishers in order. Askari Canton taking 2 of 2 here today, finished first in that second race. Emmanuel Gaxella came second. David Feidick for Symink came third. Dewey Tapper came fourth with a fantastic recovery on multiple occasions in race 2 there. Matt Clip, another great fifth for Royal Blue. Franz Schneider came home in 6th position with Wutke Hoekstra just behind in 7th. Pedro Mellem held on to 8th position from Matt Richards, with Adrian McNaughton, the other Storm car, finishing 10th. 11th was Mikko Ikonen, with Florian Gaia having a good recovery drive from down in 21st to come 12th. Thomas Jacobs came 13th, with Cameron Brewster 14th, making it a double point score for United Racers. And Victor Silva, the final of our point scorers in race 2 for WCS Racing.
Driver of the races then?
Kantonen. He won both. He was dominant.
Yeah, absolutely flawless, and our cameraman points out that he was correct as well, Lewis Redshaw. But awesome drive from Cantona. I did say last round actually that I can see him doing big things in the future because he just won very strong in the last few races.
Indeed. Again, there are other drivers that deserve notable mentions. Matt Clip, double top 5, fantastic job from him. Performing above what his average would be, and he's got to be happy with that. Again, Dowie Tapper, a story of what could have been, lapping faster than the guys in front, but getting caught up in just about every instant that took place. So Canton's got to be the driver.
What could have been for Tapper, like you say, caught up in so many accidents. He still only finished 20 seconds off the lead. So he could have been, 18 seconds off the lead. He could have been right up there fighting for that win in that second race. And I expect he would have been, but Matt Clip, I'm going to give Matt Clip the driver of the 2 races for me. I mean, Cantona did the great job, won the races. Matt Clip, just for, I just watched him come through the field in the second race, and he was pretty awesome. Decisive moves, deserved the 5th position, didn't fight too hard when he didn't have to, and so on. So, good job from Matt. Yeah,
fantastic. Lots and lots of drivers there that probably deserve more shout-outs than we've been giving them today, but Cantonen, Clip, easily the 2 best from the overall 2 races.
Doesn't the top 5 in that race resemble the exact same result of race 1?
I believe it does.
Yeah, so the top 5, it's basically a replay of race 1, was race 2, so the top 5, exactly the same as race 1, so that's Cantona, Gaxella, Fiddick, Tapper and Clip. So I think Schneider was somewhere like 6th or 7th in the end of race 2 as well, so it's pretty much the exact same result.
Alright then, as we sit around waiting for some interviews, first of those interviewees to hop into the channel, and I'm just going to get it underway here, David Feidick. Interesting couple of races for you, lots of contact with guys around you, particularly Emmanuel Gaxella, but you did manage to hold on for 2 very, very good results. albeit not quite what you would have wanted, finishing behind Emmanuel on both occasions.
Yeah, not what I wanted. Really disappointed in the pace. I mean, you set the car up and like you expect it to go well, but then the end of the first race, my tyres died, and then it started raining, and it's just no grip with that amount of tyre percentage I had. With Gagzella, we're both fighting. I think we're both as rough as each other. We have to give it all we got, I suppose. I don't know, man. The second race, the start, for some reason, the launch control jumped off good, and then when it got into second gear, it jumped back to first. So I dropped down a few, but I managed to catch up with Gagzella by the end of the lap. Made a move, but yeah, then again, it's just trying to pick my way through the people, which he did better than me, and he's a better driver all weekend. So he deserves to be in front.
Indeed, and not only maybe slightly disappointing in terms of the Drivers' Championship going on with Emmanuel Gagzella, but race 2 there, first race I believe probably since yourself and Ben were full-time drivers, that Storm outscored you.
Is it? Oh, right, I haven't seen the results, so yeah, I guess need to work on that a bit more then, because one thing I'm definitely going to win is the constructors, so drivers is out of reach. Well, like I said before, I'm not going to give up, but we're going to take one title at least for sure.
Any extra questions from yourself, Lee?
Not really a question, but I just want to apologise in advance to Fiduk, because through the entire of that broadcast I called you Fiduk again, so I do apologise for that one, but good job today anyway, unlucky on the result.
Alright, thanks a lot, guys.
Cheers.
Alright, then moving on to, I think it's fair to say, probably the standout shock performance of race 1, and that is Scott Beresford, who ended up finishing 11th, but ran in a very, very convincing 6th for the whole race. Well done to you. How did your races go on the whole?
Thank you. Well, I think they went pretty good, apart from little part of race 1 with microphone working.
Not quite. Keep trying.
Okay, I'll have a go. Race 1 went well, except I underfueled it because I've not had time to do a full race practice. Race 2, I bumped into someone whose launch control didn't seem to work, so I took my front wing off and then had to drive back field and made it to 20th.
Yeah, we saw that you managed to nab 20th at the end of race 2 there, just some opportunistic driving as the guys in front took each other off. I guess on the whole quite a good race, and I believe, was that your debut in Formula Challenge?
Yes, it was, yeah. I do WSS as well as, and I'd much prefer the Formula Challenge cars. They actually go where you point them.
Indeed. So, given that was your debut, and so I guess it's completely fair to say on debuts people make errors or things don't go quite right, are there any goals now that you can see are attainable in the upcoming races?
Well, I'd like to actually achieve a 6th instead of just running there then running out of fuel. And then after that, try and keep up with the guys that were in front, such as Vernon and... well...
Yeah, well, congratulations on a very impressive race 1 and a bit of bad luck in race 2. Any questions from yourself, Lee?
No, just to echo your statement, basically, just well done on race 1. Obviously race 2 didn't go to plan, but race 1 was very impressive up until the last few laps, as you say, but it's going to be good to see another driver up front, because I'm sure you'll be somewhere near the podium positions next time out.
Yep.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, Scott. Moving on now to, I believe it was our 9th place finisher in race 2, and was running at the front for a good few laps at the start, Mr. Matt Richards. Who is...
Hello.
He is there. So, race 2, you led the first couple of laps, and then got swamped a bit by the fast guys behind you, but on the whole, how would you say it went?
Great event for me. I mean, I wasn't expecting to be that close to the front, maybe top 20 area, and just hoping to get a few points on the board. Obviously, starting 4th for race 2, I knew I had a good chance because I always get quite a good start. I think I was just kind of lucky that Lewis had a jump start, so by the time I got to the end of the lap, he had to pit. So I was kind of surprised to be in the lead, but more hoping that people behind me would have problems and I could stay there. But I ended up having a problem where somebody messaged me on Skype, which I accidentally left open, and it caused me a really bad FPS lag, which at one point I had to click off my screen to click out of my game and then click back into the game whilst on the main straight, which was kind of lucky, and then just went forward from there and got 9th, which is really good for me.
Yeah, fantastic drive, and you held first convincingly for a good 2, maybe 3 laps at the start.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, it was kind of tough. Obviously, having Malim behind me is quite a lot of pressure, but I think he made a mistake at one point, so it allowed me to get a little bit of a gap. But every time I got to the last sector, he'd just catch straight back up to me again because I just couldn't get the top speed.
Indeed. So, probably a standout performance for yourself, getting such good points in that second race there. Are you hoping maybe to capitalise on that and the pace that you seem to have found and try and get yourself some points in race 1 and 2 next time out?
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, we seem to have found a sweet spot in the setup where we can keep the tyres for the race distance and then just carry on to the end. So hopefully we can improve on that, and me and John can go forward and get points for both of us.
Indeed, and not to break any patterns here, but any further questions from yourself, Lee?
You've covered it all, really, haven't you? I guess just well done on 9th position in second race. Didn't see much of yourself in race 1, but well done in race 2.
Indeed, and a final interview here with Xavier de Carvalho. I'm going to hand over to Lee for this one. I've got the name out of the way for you.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's the most difficult bit out of the way anyway, so this rest of the interview should run smoothly now. Xavier, welcome to the booth. Obviously you've been up here pretty much every race since I started doing this again. Just talk us through your races. We saw a bit of you at some point, I think in race 2, but there was a lot of action all through the field, but just talk us through your races.
Yeah, I had a pretty dismal event, or dismal round, should I say. I think this is 3 from 3 now where I've had incidents and just not had things go my way, sort of thing. Did quite a bit of practice today. I think this was the first round where I've actually tried to make my own setup, and it was looking alright. Going into quali, I felt as though I was gonna probably get up to the mid pack for once, instead of qualifying at the back, and well, that didn't happen. Qualified, I think 20 something, somewhere around there. Race 1, made up quite a few positions at the start. I wasn't aware of what was going on because there was just cars lagging everywhere, and I was just trying to stay out of trouble. And as soon as I went through turn 3, I had an off-factor game crash, which was not ideal. And all right. Going into race 2, obviously coming out of race 1, not being able to finish the race was quite annoying. So I just wanted to take like the frustration out on the car and just try and see if I can make up as many positions as I could. And then race 2 at the start, once again, a couple of guys I think either released the launch control and released the throttle, or did something wrong there, because a lot of guys were standing still on the start, and unfortunately I connected one of them. So yeah, I had to come back into the pits at the end of that lap and go from the back of the grid again. Then about halfway through race 2, I think Paul caught up to me, and we were trying to chase down Simon Smith. Had a pretty good battle with Paul, and he gave me a bit of a bump and waited, which I must say thank you to him for that, because you don't often see a lot of that from some of the guys in this league. Nice mature racing from Paul, and overall even though I was at the back again, I had good fun. So yeah, thanks to Paul.
That's the main thing. Like you say, you had fun, but also positives to be taken is the fact that when you're testing, when you were practicing, you felt like you made some improvement. You were aiming higher than you were last week. So that's always something that's nice to look back on and think, well, I was slightly quicker than the week before. And it's like I was saying to Oscar earlier, we were having a little discussion about improving ourselves as drivers. as long as you keep improving, it's always positive. If you stop and stuck for time or anything, you can't find any more lap time or anything like that, it's always more difficult to take. So fair play on that one. One thing I want to ask you, the rain, obviously. The rain, do you like the rain, and do you see it as an opportunity to get yourself further up the grid?
Well, I like the rain. I mean, it adds an extra something to the race, and I'm fairly quick in the rain. I don't know how, but in the dry, during practice, I was about 2 or 3 seconds off the pace, and as soon as the wet came down, I was the 6th fastest, and going quicker and quicker. I mean, yeah. So I mean, I enjoy the rain. I enjoy the challenge, and I don't know. I think I just I'm more suited, or my driving style is more suited to driving in the wet. Yeah, I think I like the rain, but I don't like the unpredictability. So I mean, with this round, I was making my own setup and whatnot, and it's difficult because you've made your setup and you've set up the car and learned the track on a dry sort of setting, and you come to the race and it's wet and everything's completely changed. So I think from that perspective, I don't particularly enjoy it, but yeah, I'm quicker, so yeah.
Well, that's fair play. Obviously, hopefully it'll rain for you next time out then. It's good to see you making positives up the field, obviously. Now you've had your fair share of the commentary, we will leave it there. But well played today, and obviously hope to see you progressing further in the next race.
Yeah, thanks.
Back to you, Oscar.
So, that wraps up interviews and the racing from today at Nurburgring Formula Challenge. Again, big props to Cantonen and Matt Clip, easily the 2 drivers of the race for myself and Lee. Only to look forward now. A bit of a mix-up today, first time that Storm have been outscoring Simink in a while, and that may well continue on to the next round, round 15 of 18 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And that's going to be taking place in 2 weeks' time on September the 10th for the FC guys. If you're interested in taking part, like we say, hop over to en.gpvwc.com, hit yourself up on the forums and ask for a drive. I'm sure that there's a seat out there for you somewhere. And if not, then at the very least, join either myself, Lee, possibly even Liam, or the likes of James Kirk in the commentary booth in 2 weeks' time to see the guys back out in action. Thanks for joining us.